Like, what do you mean?
I can't tell if it says you're in the show. Everyone can see and hear you.
Right. Yeah, that's what it says.
That's very good. I like the sound of that.
Everyone can see and hear you. So this is for posterity. So please be honest.
Yeah, no, I'm down. I'm always honest. I keep like office hours the same. I keep dishonest hours the same as office hours. So
Mm.
between the hours of like, and it depends on the night too. If it's a Friday night and it's after 10 o'clock, I might be lying because that's what I do
Okay.
when I party.
Right. I mean, you got to have a little bit of fun, huh?
Yeah. And what's more fun than just deceiving people?
Right. I mean, have you ever played like those like deception games, like Werewolf or
Mm-hmm.
The Resistance, or a Secret Little Mustache Man? Have you ever played that one?
Yeah. They had to change
Yeah.
the branding and pull all the original ones from the shelf after 2016 when everyone became a little mustache enthusiast.
Mm. My there's a men's group at my parish that like gets together once a month and drinks whiskey and gambles money on Secret Little Mustache Man. And every time we're like,
Nice.
should we be doing this? And then our priest was there. He's like, oh, the one guy was like, I'm only 19, Father. And he's like, but you're Orthodox, aren't you?
Yeah, I like that. That's such a cultural I'm glad that I came to the faith at this age because I just turned 33 a couple days ago, in fact, and I feel like if I was 25 and became Orthodox, I might have overstepped the boundaries of uh what's the word I'm looking for? Temperance, because people would be pouring me wine and I'd be like, "Oh, don't mind if I do. I'll have a seventh glass."
Yes. Jesus wants, yeah, Jesus. I was going to say 7. How'd you know?
I don't know, man. We're just in sync.
Yeah, it's because I'm younger than you, I guess. I would take that 7th glass of wine.
Yeah. Well, the wine in the Bible wasn't even alcoholic. I learned that in the 7th grade at Faith Christian Academy.
They had the Welchers back then. That's a very long-standing company.
Yeah.
It's impressive. Family owned.
True. Yeah.
You know, when before we started this, it was just your chair, and it was just me here. So I started singing "One is the loneliest number," and then I couldn't remember any of the other words. So I looked it up. One is the loneliest number lyrics, and then it tried to autofill meaning. It's like who's like, man, what is this song? What does this song mean? Like, can't figure this one out.
It's pretty straightforward, but I never understood. Whenever I hear the lyrics, I'm like, these don't make a lot of grammatical sense.
Mm-hmm. One is the loneliest number that there ever was.
I thought
2 can be just as bad as 1. I just looked it up too. I'm such a fool.
1 is the loneliest number meaning.
1 is the loneliest number that you'll ever do.
Yeah, what does that mean? What that means?
What is the loneliest number that you'll ever do? 2 could be as bad as 1. It's the loneliest number next to number 1.
You know that little vocal flourish that you have?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little Eddie Vedder-esque. But
yeah, thank you. I looked up to him. Who's that?
He's the guy from Pearl Jam.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, I can hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's it. That was one of their greatest hits.
Yeah, that's Nickelback by Pearl Jam. I'm pretty sure that song is.
Mm-hmm. The song was called Nickelback, and it was about. Actually, you mind if I just mess with the lighting here? I just want things to be.
Yeah. Pasta Primavera, yes.
Yeah, let me see, because the office here. The office here is a little bit of a war zone. The office here is a little bit of a war zone, and as we were talking about before we streamed, I'm on a tight schedule.
Ooh. Yeah. We got to condense. Oh, so much tight. Okay, you're gone. Oh, you're back.
Oh, did I drop off?
Yeah, you did. Would you agree that Pearl Jam is the mumble rap of rock?
I actually can't disrespect. Oh man, you are gonna hate this. You are absolutely gonna hate this. I gotta sell a bike. Can you give me like 90 seconds?
Yeah, I'll vamp.
Vamp, man. I'll be RB.
Okay, man. I'll be your front man. I'll be your,
Yeah, when I come
how
back,
y'all doing tonight? Y'all feeling it?
I'm gonna be high tea when I get back, just like that, just
oh
like
my
my big bro, Mr. Westford.
I'm gonna get the crowd hypey. They're gonna get hyphy. We're all getting hyphy tonight, dude. Dude, I'm gonna get. I see all y'all white folk are here watching me. I know that you just want me to be your black friend. That's cool. That's cool with me, man. But I mean, just let you know, I'm not. I mean, I don't give the pass out to just anybody. So just because you watch me, just doesn't mean you is me. All right. So you got to first off, don't get those. You got to keep those things straight in your mind. So, yeah, 1 is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. 2 can be as bad as 1. It's the loneliest number since the number 1. So that's implying some kind of time. It's temporal. You know, you couldn't have loneliness without an experience of time, right? I don't know. There's no. Verse 2 just contradicts itself. No is the saddest experience you'll ever know. Oh, I thought I was going to talk about. I thought I was like saying no. The number 1 is not. I don't even know what I'm talking about here. Yes is the saddest experience you'll ever know. What? Because 1. Well, yes, it's the saddest experience you'll ever know. Because 1 is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. Okay. What is this whole yes and no experience thing? I mean, did you want me to sing the song again? Do I need to sing the song? Do I need to do some education? Do I need to? Is it my job to stay out here every day, day in and day out, educating the white folks, trying to make y'all comfortable? Is it my job? I'm not getting paid for this. I'm not getting paid for this. So, I mean, if y'all want to pay me for this, somebody please put the link to my super chats in the chat. I mean, shoot, y'all think I'm doing this for free? I got a family to not support. I mean, my baby mama ain't gonna get no government support if I'm around, you know. So I'm just trying to do my part, trying to figure out when the heck I'm supposed to get out of here. I know I do. But like I just got new tobacco when I came back. I didn't realize, you know, I wasn't supposed to. But I don't know. Do you guys really think the number 1 is the loneliest number? Because 2 is the loneliest number next to 1. But then I think this really just ends in an infinite regress of, because 3 would have to be the loneliest number next to that one, and 4 and so on. And I feel like I'm talking about the Immaculate Conception of the Virgin Mother of God. So it's weird. This is a long bike transaction. You guys think he's okay? What kind of bike is he selling? Is this like a neighbor kid that showed up at his house? What do you guys think? Yeah, I don't think numbers have felt experiences, but I have heard an atheist say that like every single molecule has a felt experience, and that like we're all just particles together experiencing our. It was literal gibberish. I have no idea what they're saying, which is uncommon. I usually am like 50 steps ahead of every atheist, at least 50 steps. So when I don't know what they're saying, it's a very novel experience. Yeah, it was basically just Hinduism light. It was basically just borrowing. It was a mishmash of perennialism. Like I like a little bit of this and a little bit of this, but I'm an atheist. So, hey, where do you weigh in on it?
Probably like 200 right now. They say you got to be something to do something.
That's how much you made off that bike? We were trying to put in bets.
Oh, I thought you said, what am I weighing in at right now?
Oh, I know. I said, how did you weigh in on it? On the bets. We're betting how much you made off the bike.
A hundo. Cool hundo.
Oh, nice. Was this a vroom vroom or a toot toot? And that's a terrible little picture, like a little bell.
No,
that's what I was trying to do.
It was the kind that gets stolen. Yeah, it was a clown bike. You can fit a lot of little clowns inside of it.
Did it have the one giant front wheel and the tiny little back wheel?
Yeah. Have you been like watching my house, like Men in Black, whenever he was watching his ex-wife's house? from the satellite?
You do know that there's back doors in like every Ring camera, right?
Ooh, like backdoors, like you're a hacker, like you hacked the mainframe.
Yeah, I hacked into the mainframe. I'm back in.
I think I'm the Morpheus. You guys.
No, I'm the Morpheus. No, I'm if anybody's the Morpheus, I mean.
I'm hacking into the Morpheus. I think that I'm the chosen matrix.
Oh my gosh. There is no stake.
Say it again? Oh, there is no stake. Like whenever he was like, try to spin the stake in your head. I used to be able to throw a pigskin a quarter mile. How much you want to make a bet I could throw this over them mountains?
Oh, I love the part when he reaches to grab the stake and he grabs his hand. He's like yanking on his hand before he grabs the stake.
Yeah, when he cuts his son's arm off and he's like, no!
Nosferatu!
Nosferatu! You're my father! You know what was really funny, genuinely?
What? Yeah, I do.
Toy Story 2, whenever what's his name, Buzz Lightyear found out that Zurg was his father.
Zurg is his father, yeah.
Yeah. It was funny because then they were just playing catch and he's like, father! That is a genuinely funny scene. It was good. Rewatch it.
When you saw it as a wee lad, did you realize it was a parody? It took me a while to come back and watch I watched Rugrats 2 when I was like 13. Like, what is going on with this baby smoking a cigar? You know, it was basically just a Godfather reference. So like all those kids shows and movies are just chock full of the movies that the people making the kid movies liked.
Yeah, I would be able to come up with more examples, but I was a little distracted because my brain just keeps saying parody's nuts. On account of this internet joke that I saw the other day.
Well, that's I think that's sufficient answer enough for me. If you were going to try to disseminate some false information, like manufacture an urban legend and put it out into the zeitgeist, how would you do it?
Well, first you have to figure out what you want to inseminate.
Right.
So I would probably start. Yeah, if I had to artificially inseminate something just out into the culture. And you were asking like an urban legend, is that what you said?
It doesn't. I mean, like that kind of thing. Like it's you are going to put out some kind of thing that's not true, not real, and you have to do it in such a way that it becomes widespread. Like you could go to another state and then potentially hear it being talked about somewhere.
Yeah.
At a restaurant, at a coffee shop, something like that.
Yeah, you kind of put me on the spot because I'm sure if I really thought about it, I'd have some really exciting answers.
I've got one.
Well, let me say up front that it would probably have to do with like a brand new cryptid. I would make one up and have it be like lots of people believed that something happened, like from Doug's first movie, Doug Funny. Their whole town was up in an uproar about the nematode. So I would try something like that. But what's yours?
Oh, so I would. Well, first off, I would dress very dapper in a suit, maybe a bow tie. I would clean up. I'd make myself look very authoritative, and I would go to like some kind of museum, or like have you ever been to like Savannah, Georgia? There was all these different houses. Like this house is 200 years old, and we have like all these facts about the family and how they he was a fireman and he did this for the community and all that stuff. I would go in and say like to the guy who's like doing all the exhibits and like he's worked there for a year or two and he's supposed to be knowledgeable. I would go in acting like I'm an expert about the thing the museum's about. And I'm just trying to gather more data, and I'd be correcting him on facts, and I'd be interjecting my own facts just on the fly, and I'd try to see if I could rewrite the history of this family just through, force of will.
Yeah, I like that a lot because then their entire legacy would be destroyed, and you would be the only one who knew.
Yeah, I mean, I could make it better. I could redeem them.
Ooh, okay. So
it's actually the butler all along.
Gerard Butler?
Yes, Gerard Butler in the 1800s was the one that got these the help pregnant. Yeah,
it was Gerard Butler the whole time.
Mm-hmm. With a candlestick.
Well, let me
you want to say who you are?
Of course.
Who you are? Where you're from?
Of course, I was actually just about to pull that up. Oh man, you know what I was checking right when you were about to ask me that question?
How could I know that?
I wanted to see. No, you couldn't. A valid point. I wanted to see what thumbnail you chose.
Oh, yes. It was. It took me like 15 seconds because I was trying to get this stream made as fast as possible to be able to send it to you, and you
Yeah.
have to have a thumbnail.
Yeah, me likey that. First of all, what I don't likey is I'm so Robotronic pixelated.
Wait, are you in the picture?
Yeah. No, not in the
Oh,
picture,
weird.
in the stream. Like, I think
Oh,
my
in this
internet
stream,
people are
yeah.
gonna think that I have HughesNet or perhaps
you-
Net Zero.
Are you in a third world country, perhaps Mexico? Are you safe?
I can't really say, but what I will say is a little context clues. If you looked out my window right now, there are no fewer than 4 mustachioed gentlemen riding those bicycles where the front wheel is like really big and the back wheel is this big.
Yeah, well, at least one, since we know one just purchased yours. So was
Right.
it under duress? Was it like you know, I'm not saying nothing bad will happen, but it'd be a real shame if you didn't
Yeah.
you know, give me that bike.
Yes. I mean, that's a clear yes. I don't have anything to add, but yes, it was precisely what you are describing. But I
Did
made
they have
$100
like
off it.
waistcoats with really long back tails?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, it's truly mind blowing that you're aware of all this. Are you a psychic?
I'll never tell.
Are you a sidekick?
I am the co-host of the Mr. Westford stream, so yes, I am a sidekick.
Who's the main dude?
You are at the moment.
Oh, whoa. All right, what an honor. So I should introduce myself, huh?
Yes, please.
All right, so the screen says I'm Cursed Just, and that's because my first name is Cursed, and birth name, but Christian name, Justin. And I'm one of the 2 hosts of the Cursed World Problems podcast that we've been trying to get off the ground for a couple months, and we've been having a blast, having a fun time. So my brother, my brother in Christ, as it were, the other host of our little show.
Is he the co-host, or is he the host? What's the dynamics? What's the power struggle?
I mean, look, between me and you, just between me and you.
Yeah.
Can I be honest?
Yeah. I mean, it's not late at night, is it?
All right. This doesn't go anywhere, right? No. Here
No,
on the
chat. Yeah. Keep it between
Eastern
us.
Standard Time. Yeah, just between us. I'm the host. Yeah, I'm like the main.
Okay.
I'm the main dude.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I put on all my socials. I put on all my socials that I'm the co-host of my own thing, because I heard you say that you're the co-host of the Cursed World podcast. I'm like, that's funny. It'd be funny if I was the co-host of my thing.
Yeah, I like that.
That's what I am.
But I gotta say, while we're here, as I do every time, because I'm a polite little prince, appreciate you having me on. Appreciate you making the time to do a little streamio.
Stop it. Stop.
Dude.
Man. I mean, thank you.
Dude, it really does. I'm going to say one more time. It really does look like I'm streaming, like my webcam is a microwave or something, or perhaps like a tin can with a string attached to it, and somehow that's filming me. But it's good for anonymity. No one's going to know who I am because they can't actually make out my face. No one could pick me out of a lineup after this stream. Guaranteed.
I might be the one that gets picked out somehow.
Yeah. They'll think you're
how,
me. We do bear a striking resemblance. Has anyone told you that? You and I might as well be twins.
You're at least the second person on this show to say that you look like me. So, okay.
Is that real? You really have heard someone say that?
Yeah, this guy Dustin, he said that we look like we could be brothers.
Yeah, I'm like a chubbier version of you. Fat Justin is like making a comeback. There's this character, not that you asked, but there's this mythic character in my life that my friends and family and I will always talk about, and it's Fat Justin, but we talk about him as if he's a long lost friend, or perhaps a nemesis, or like a rival of mine. And Fat Justin made some lengthy appearances, I would say in 2018 and then more recently into my early married years. I'm not saying that I'm a total Wolfhauser or some sort of um, chubby bunny.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I'm on my way. Fat Justin's peeking his little head around the corner.
He's prairie dogging.
He's prairie dogging, exactly. So anyway, yeah, I feel like maybe if I meet my fitness goals, you and I'll be a spitting image, and that'll be a great day.
And then if I meet my fitness goals, then I don't know where we go from there, but
I'll just have to keep trying to pursue. You're always like out of reach. I'll be chasing the dragon, but I'll be chasing the Wesley.
Yeah, I mean, we'll walk hand in hand, sausage link and sausage link. We'll make it to the end. Be able to be crowned as special princes.
I never heard the sausage link adage. It seems a little suggestive, but maybe I just have not been purified.
Have you not met a man the way I have? Pretty womanly, slender, princely fingers, dainty, aristocratic fingers. Have you not met somebody that has finger, you could say like 3 times the gauge of mine? Just like
that's me.
Okay, yeah.
I just got these chubby little boys right here. I mean, there's a nice spread on them. It's a decent hand.
Yeah.
Well, I hope I don't sound conceited saying that, but
No. I mean, keep going.
I don't know. I don't know what to say. What else can I say?
I mean, you talked about the spread. I'm sure there's other virtues.
There's the spread. I like
the spread. Yeah.
I like the word you said earlier, the gauge of it, like a gauge of a cigar or something else cylindrical.
A wire.
Perhaps a wire.
Yeah.
Look, man, I'm not an electrician or a scientist. You use fancy words like wire, you're going to start losing me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. String?
Ooh, I know what that is. String cheese, baby.
Yeah. There we go.
Fat Justin's back, baby. You just dangle some string cheese in his face, and he's ready to go.
Okay, if let's picture this as a string cheese, and I went ate the top part of it off. How would that make you feel?
I mean, I approve of that. A lot of people are a little more conservative when it comes to string cheese etiquette, but I'm like, hey, man.
A lot of people think you need to peel, and that's just a lot of work for the same calories. So
no, and they're rigorous, is what they are. It's about the spirit of the cheese. It's not right. You don't have to be like, oh, you got to follow the form and function of the way that everyone has eaten string cheese before you. It's more of a small T tradition. It's not a dogmatic imperative to be pulling little strings off. I don't know where we got that idea, and I'm sorry because I'm getting fired up. I didn't expect for this to get this controversial.
Fat Justin is coming out. It's all right, man.
Fat Justin's here, buddy, and he's a juggernaut, and he's just coming at you.
It's like The Mask. If that was a good movie, and I could still watch it and feel joy, you just you just put on the mask.
Yeah.
Hello, Colin.
You son of a bitch from hell.
How's it going? I probably have terrible sound, but we're gonna try the best that we can with what we have.
And he's gone.
It's gone. That's pretty funny. Well, he has the crappy sound and the good video, the okay video, and you have the bad video and the good sound. So I mean, it's with your powers combined.
Dude, I'm gonna try to just hook this up to like my hotspot for my phone and see if it comes in any clearer. Just as a little experiment. It could work out disastrously, but I'm all for taking big chances.
Going back to the the people that get upset when you just take a bite of a string cheese. I feel like those have to be the same people that get mad when you have a boneless wing, and they're like, no, you have to earn it. You got to eat around those bones. You ever meet somebody that's upset when you eat boneless or you order boneless? Like you're not a real man. You ever meet those people, Colin?
Yeah, they kind of tick me off. They kind of tee me right because sometimes you're just not in the mood for the bones. Sometimes you're just not in the mood to be boned, and sometimes you are. And when you are not, like, what's the deal with all the macho, like?
Right, like if they're all about the bones, they got to at least get you in the mood. Or I mean, it's just.
I do like it. It is a common. I mean, I know a lot of people ask the question. I don't think it means much, but it is a great chance to get your personal preference out there so that everybody who cares knows your personal preference. Do you prefer flats or drumsticks?
Yeah, and would you like to say who you are as well? For some people, they're just like, "Whoa, this new guy!" And okay, sorry, anonymity. Yeah, sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm Cursed World Call, co-host of the Cursed World Problems podcast. But we just call it Cursed World Problems, but it is a podcast, so it's all of those things. But yeah, Justin already kind of gave us a little intro. So again, sorry if my sound probably isn't coming in the best, but kind of on the road.
You'd be surprised. Your sound is immaculate to some of the people I let on here. So.
This guy right here.
No, it's my video and my sound that's really bad.
Hey, no, your video's back.
Yeah, you're looking kind of Robotronic, and you're sounding kind of Robotronic. What's the deal? What gives?
Dude, I have bad equipment. My stuff sucks. I cannot. It's my internet. I have net zero. I can't help that. Okay, I got it on a disc in the mail, and I'm on a free trial.
I think this one's for you, Justin. Quickly justify the ontological status of a podcast. Can you do that?
Okay. Podcasts exist, and I can prove that by the fact that we're on one. I podcast, therefore I am. Okay. This is a podcast, right? Or do we have to qualify that? This is a stream. This is a YouTube stream. I get it. But the fact that we can even compare this stream to a would-be idyllic, idealistic, the form of a podcast, the platonic form of a podcast, the fact that we can even conceptualize that and say this stream is not a podcast suggests that, as you used the word zeitgeist earlier, if it exists in the common imagination at the very least, then it calls back to something primordial. It calls back to the fact that podcasts have been in the human heart, whether or not you're an evolutionary midwit, an atheist that thinks that everything is socially constructed and we crawled out from the ocean or whatever retarded thing kids are into nowadays, or if you believe in some theistic middle ground between that, or if you're a full-blown, creationist, regardless of each of those three, starting places, you have to admit that the podcast would not have been imagined, especially a good podcast would not have been imagined from thin air. There's nothing in our sense experience that suggests the existence of a podcast on its own. Does that check out? It cannot be socially constructed, the idea of a podcast. We're on one right now, and it's always been part of... This is where words fail me, because it's like you get it or you don't. If you don't have the podcast phonema, as it were, then you can't be taught that just through syllogisms or a logical sequence. I can't make you understand.
Try to keep it a PG, please. Try to keep it PG.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say one of the...
Yeah, that was definitely not TOS. So how do you account for the fact that nobody has iPods anymore, except for me? Can you still have a podcast?
Are you trolling? You're doing the no iPods argument. I mean, what is this, 2022?
Sorry, I'm a little lost. I thought have you heard that argument before? So that was just my own thoughts.
I'm really sorry for blowing up on you. Like, maybe I misread that. It's just I spend day in and day out hearing these guys. They're like, Just, what about podcasts, Just? They keep repeating my name. And I'm like, okay, I'm trying to respond to the question, but it's like people don't watch the previous streams, despite the fact.
Have you ever considered that maybe you weren't paying attention and they were just trying to get your attention? What else could they be meaning when they're saying that your name over and over?
It's possible, but it's also possible that there's some sort of technical error causing everyone to not know how to unmute. It's possible. Is it likely?
I think that Justin is a net. I don't know if he's very good for the podcast community, especially online. I think he tends to turn people who listen to podcasts. I don't know. I think anybody who's looking at adopting the podcast lifestyle and sees him, they might be turned off by how mean he is to everybody.
Here, let's do a little experiment. We've got people watching right now. Okay, when you guys look at Justin, when you hear his voice, you hear the types of things he's saying. Do you identify with sound A or sound B? Sound A is a boing. Sound B is wow. Okay, so which one is you? All right, in the chat, A's or B's?
Could I take a crack at both sound A and sound B for you?
Yeah, sorry.
Sound A.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, that's what I was trying to do. That's what I was trying to do.
Sound B.
I'm not a scientist. All right, everyone in the chat.
Is that not what you were going for?
Yeah. Well, I can do a poll real quick. We can try to get some science going, some empiricism.
And if they don't like it, I mean, if they look, the people that say that I'm not good for the podcast community or for the streaming community, come on and debate me, bro. I mean, stream's on. The only people that I block are people that repeat the same tired arguments. You know, you see.
Are you all right?
Hey, Jamie, can I get a coffee?
Double shot, please.
You give me a Crystal Light.
Jamie, can you pull up the double shot for me, please? Well, anyways, enough. I think we've lost the audience because, we're talking about such things that people don't typically put their minds to. So, Colin, do you happen to be a nurse? Are you a male nurse?
It's funny that whenever there are male nurses, and I'm not taking this personally because I'm not a male nurse, but if there's a nurse who is a man, they're not called nurses. They're called male nurses, which is hilarious.
Right.
Because that's just how it is, and this is how
it's like how
be.
It's like how there's comedians and female comedians, right? Woman comedians.
She's a female doctor. Dude, it's so funny. It's so funny that's how it is. No, I just like to wear scrubs for fun.
Okay. My mom wears them, so it feels like to me, looking at a man in scrubs, it's almost like if I was a wee lad putting on my mother's work clothes instead of my father's or something. It's not right.
Yeah, no, it conjures up an air. It makes people respect me more. So.
Okay.
Whenever I go out, if I'm walking around the store or picking up something at the gas station, people tend to kind of step out of my way when I'm walking by or whatever, because it just that's basically why I do it.
I do want to bring to mind the science which occurred in the chat. 83% of people said A, which Colin, could you please reiterate what sound A was? Okay, and 17% of people said sound B, which was?
I'm changing sound B, so you might have to do another poll. Sound B is now. Sound B is now.
All right. Let's just keep the numbers. I don't think anything would have changed there. So that I do believe that means Justin is been scientifically validated, peer reviewed, to be good for the 80%. Good for the podcast community
and handsome, and I'm handsome.
Yeah, I think that was implied. That's presupposed. That's a precondition for you being good to the podcast community.
Yeah, you were saying that you felt like you mentioned the feeling of putting your mom's work clothes on and how it didn't feel right, and you were raised right, and you were raised better than that. This is going to be a throwback to the last time we streamed. For some reason, anytime that I drink any kind of beverage, this was like one of those little powder packs that you like B vitamins or something,
like
and some
Crystal
water.
Light,
something like that. But it's like Celsius energy powder or something.
You're not at liberty to say what it was. I see. Sorry.
I can't really say. Okay. Sometimes I drink it, sometimes I snort it, whatever. But regardless, when I drink anything on camera, it looks like I'm wearing lip stain. So I'm always going to be a pretty little lad, no matter when we stream, unless I'm just going to be a dry mush mouth having fool. So what do we do with that? You know what I'm supposed to do with that?
I could do another poll. And he's gone, and he's back.
Do another poll. Run another poll.
All right. Okay, another poll. What was the options? Dry cotton mouth,
dry mush mouth fool, or handsome little lad
with drink. Okay, cotton.
Yeah, and what I'm supposed to do with that is the other.
Okay. Well, this is very scientific, folk. Very scientific. Lots of science happening. So I thought we talked today about cursing. Is cursing cursed?
This is a really good topic. That's very thoughtful, man. I think we can go some places with this.
Damn right. Damn right it's thoughtful.
Right.
Can I run and get my serious hat?
Sure.
You know that meme that's been going around lately? The meme image?
The gross one?
No, just one with a guy who wears a serious hat and it's like a little box. I really appreciate that. Because it's the best way to dunk on someone who is, tone policing or whatever the word is that they say. Is the guy with a serious hat on. So I'd like to put mine on to talk about this because I think it's a worthy topic for discussion.
I'll allow it. All
right, I'll be right back. Colin, you can start with some opening thoughts.
Yeah, opening thoughts on cursing. Is it cursed? Is it cursed? Honestly, I'm kind of going with my gut on this. I don't really do a whole lot of I feel like these are the types of topics that you have to have some real life experience. Don't knock it till you try it, I think is what I'm trying to say. Right. If you're a goody two shoes, haven't ever cussed, just try it for a week.
You sound like the kids on the school bus when I went to public school for the first time. Like a month in, they're all like, okay, now say this dirty word. Say this dirty word. Why don't we ever hear you say that? I'm like, I just want to go home.
Yeah, exactly. No, but for real, I think that life experience shows me that I don't know. I might be wrong. This is why I'm saying it. I might be wrong. It might be truly the answer is that you just try to be as clean and pure and wholesome as possible. But in another sense, there are people and families and cultures where it's just kind of a colloquial thing, and there's dirtier words and there's cleaner words. But so for example, our grandpa, he's like a good pious guy, generous, does everything, does walks the walk and loves people a lot, right? And is a proclaims is a Christian man, right? And so, but he also just grew up, he's just like a country boy and just grew up talking about getting his ass whooped, or like, I don't know, like saying something that smells like shit or something like that or whatever. It's just like kind of, there's certain words that are just kind of so common and just used for dirty things that are, or like saying piss versus pee. There's definitely a hierarchy of curse words, and there's plenty that he does not use because it's just too far. But whenever you see it in like a wholesome kind of, I think that there's a wholesome way to see certain curse words. You know what I'm saying?
I think so. Could you give an example?
Like it's just something you grew up with, and it just is. You don't really see it as any different. Like there are people who don't see ass as different than butt, or piss as different than pee, just because it's so common, right? But then there's also like if you're too shy, or if you're too like, maybe if you grow up very sheltered and you're not allowed to say sucks or whatever, then all of those things become maybe forbidden fruit, and I don't know. I think that there's wiggle room is what I'm saying. I'm not sure really where the lines are, but
do you
let
think
me get in on this?
Oh yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No,
please.
No. I'm just gonna write my thoughts down and I'll bring it up later. Justin, can you please weigh in at 240 pounds on this?
Yes. Oh, man. 240. Colin, we talked about Fat Justin. He's back in town, baby. Oh! All right, so I got my serious hat on, so I'm just going to give my serious take, which is I have a little bit of evidence. I'm not going to give you like a full-scale assault from the opposite direction from Colin's perspective that he just outlined, but I'll give you one piece of intuitive data point that takes the opposing side, which is Colin rattled off like 6 no words in about 90 seconds. And I could feel this little growing black, a little soot sprite in my spirit as it went. But I gave, rationally, I'm like, Colin's just being real. I don't hold it against him. And maybe this is only in the last couple of years. And maybe that's a testament to just growing up and having my conscience bloom again after like 10 or 15 years of being missing in action. I've started to think to myself, I drop a few spicy sentence enhancers on a pretty regular enough basis. But also, me actually feeling like I didn't need to do that, that feeling has increased 500 times. Not 500 times, 500%. It's probably gone up 5 times since I've been married. I don't know what it is. Just a feeling of like, hey, my words, I get to choose them. And if something feels unnecessary or indulgent, and I'm like, why did I cuss? Why did I drop that cuss? I didn't need to do that. So there's something there. Right?
Oh, okay, dude.
Well, okay. You want me to... Actually, I don't think it matters at all.
Yours sounds words, more... man. Oh, nice. All right. So we're all on the same page.
Took the hat off.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Seriously, though, it is inappropriate. Like, you know what I mean? Just grow up. If we're being serious.
What would you say to those people that just need to grow up? How would you tell them how you feel?
No, I would say, you know what sucks is when something that's so cliched and so played out and you've heard it a billion times.
Huh? You mean stink? Sorry, you mean stinks?
Stinks what?
Oh.
Yeah, what stinks? Sorry, I'm trying to raise the bar.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm trying to get us out of the gutter.
I think if I may say so, I think for me, it's a pendulum swinging effect because I was probably for the first 18, 19, 20 years of my life, I didn't really knock people for doing it, but I just really didn't. And I don't remember really if something clicked or something changed or if it was like to be cool or whatever, but a lot of times the reasons that I'll use it is anger. I'll cuss to myself if I'm getting like, if I hit my thumb with a hammer and I'm trying to nail something in or something that just doesn't fit right, or if you're trying to put the clothes hanger on the thing and it's just not getting tangled up in all the other clothes hangers while you're trying to hang clothes. Those types of things, it's just angry, right? And then also funny. Curse words are very funny and they make sentences and jokes a lot funnier. And
for example, to bring, somebody, we had a caller. We took a call and off screen they said, question for the panel. Is it acceptable to call a special kid who is late tardy?
I think it's acceptable. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to find the lines, the boundaries.
But it depends too, because there's right ways to do it. If you say, Nicholas, you're tardy, this is the 3rd time this week, that's acceptable. What's worse is if you do it like this. Nicholas, you're tardy again this week for the 3rd time.
Did you hear me?
Right?
Did you
right,
hear
kid?
Me?
Class, isn't that right? That he's tardy?
Can everybody say it with me?
Wouldn't you say that Nicholas has showed up a little late, causing him to be a little bit tardy? That's the wrong way to do it.
After the pendulum swung, and then now I'm just at a point where to me it speaks. So there, I think the truest and rightest is that it is by taming your tongue, you're practicing the hardest thing that you can do, and that it is a worthy endeavor. And if you can tame your tongue, it translates to other things. Kind of like if you lift regularly and you're like that discipline, then it translates to other things. Training to not curse can probably help your discipline in other areas. However, at the same time, I also see it as in certain instances, I think it could be like a authenticity certification. Like I don't want to fake not cut. I don't know. I think that there's something in me that wants to, if I were going to say something passionate and use words and not really think about it, no filter is synonymous with like authentic. But I know it doesn't have to be that way because you can hold back certain words because they're dirty, and I don't know. I think you can still.
Well, I mean, you act differently when you're hanging out with the boys versus when you're hanging out with your mom versus when you're hanging out with your kids, right? But does that make you inauthentic that you have a different mode of operation under different circumstances?
Yeah, I guess it does not. unless it does. What do you think? Because I want to think that too.
I would like to think that. So
tell me what I should think.
Okay, well, if I'm just gonna program it right in there and kind of rewrite the code, I mean, if I'm the mastermind behind it all, I would say that it's a cursed world. You can't trust any of it. I mean, can you? Do you? Can I? So that's what I think.
Okay.
I don't know. I think I don't really know what I was doing there. I felt like I was lost.
No, I liked it though. I always respect, because I do that way too often myself, and so I think it makes me feel. Look at this, Kyle.
Nice.
S stands for, well, I don't want to dox, but
stinks.
Wonder what that's all about. Should we put her on the chat? Just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, ask her the question.
Probably gonna deliver you your special cord that you were.
I know. Let me talk to her on not.
Go out and get.
Have you ever heard of the concept of mirroring? Like you're with, like it's a sales tactic. Like you're with somebody. Let's say they have a like 20% of a sailor's mouth where they're gonna cuss a little bit. So you cuss a little bit to be like, hey, we're on the same thing. I'm not a prude.
Yeah.
What is your thoughts
on
mirroring? Is there
There's also a word in like people who are way overly obsessed with like race dynamics and like the social science aspect of it, call it code switching. So like a person who's like got a PhD, but they're a black guy would be like, no, this is classic code switching. And maybe it's not even a bad thing. It's just I've only ever heard it in those circles, people on Twitter or wherever, or in an academic setting where they talk about it as this like in-depth studied thing. But it does, so I'm scoffing at it in that way, but in another way it's like it is a recognizable phenomenon that if you are with people of your own special niche community, then you're going to talk a certain way, and when you're not, or when you're in mixed company, you're going to switch to your other persona. I actually to kind of defy maybe what a couple people in the chat are saying, but I think we could find a middle ground or a nuanced common ground understanding. I would say that is not only acceptable under certain circumstances, but it's inevitable. Like you were saying earlier, when you were talking to your mom, it's going to, by necessity, take for granted all of the shared life experience that you've had with her. Whereas if you're talking with your friends or maybe a new acquaintance or your wife or whoever the case may be, you are your brain's doing this subconscious or unconscious process where it takes into account all the shared experiences that you have and all the things that you don't have in common, and that's going to inform the way that you talk and the things that you talk about and the words that you use and the phrases and all that. And I think that that's a natural thing, and it helps us to be like one node in the web and recognize all the different connections that you might have. So the chemistry in this conversation between the three of us and the chat, of course, the beloved chat, is going to be different, and it's going to manifest differently in our communication than if I were on a different chat or in a room full of people or at a party or at church or whatever. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but you can kind of tell intuitively when it's egregious. And one of my least favorite examples of that, and then I will yield the floor, is when people nervous laugh at your joke because they feel like they need to apologize for your behavior in front of other people. That I cannot abide, and I've only experienced it a couple times. I try to give the benefit of the doubt and be forgiving to the people that do that, but it is extremely damaging to a friendship to have a person be like, he don't mind him. He's crazy. Sometimes looking at you like, really, you're gonna. But then if you did the same joke like behind closed doors with them, they're just like falling all over themselves laughing, or they're gonna join in the fun. That I can't stand, but that's an exception.
Like, when your group A friends and your group B friends suddenly commingle, and it's like I don't know how I feel about these worlds colliding.
Your group A friends, and your group B friends.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah. Type in the new poll. Are we your group A friends? Or are we your group B friends? Oh yeah, the other poll. Sorry. 78% of people say that you should stay the handsome little prince and not get cotton mouth. So
nice. That's great. Let me just take care of this real quick and see if my
get another opinion. Yeah, get another opinion. Ask the question.
Talk to me.
Yeah, I think it's tough because I just do it. I don't want to try to remove myself. I'm extremely wary of just justifying things that I want to do because, like Justin mentioned, it is indulgent. It feels good. It feels good, and practicing not doing it and abstaining and withholding the indulgence of how good it feels to curse
Right.
is a wholesome practice and is going to be good for you long run, orthodoxy wise, spiritually. Even if I mean consider it not a no rule, but rather something that is bad for your soul and your spirit. If we believe in the power of the material world and I don't know. You can get really woo-woo with it, or you can also get really like, yeah, no, I pretty much believe in that stuff. It makes sense. It rings true with stuff like, do you ever look into or hear about those experiments with like water droplets and certain types of music and how it turns like the frozen like crystals into different shapes and stuff. And so I tend to be on the side of like, yeah, no, I think that stuff is legit. I haven't like done super research on it. I'm not a brainiac egghead about it, but just rings true. It's one of those things that I just feel is like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's 100% legit. And so with that type of thinking, if there really are low, I also don't want to sound new agey or anything like that, but if there are low vibrational types of words and thoughts and intentions and stuff that can come through in your words, then you would want to avoid them for the sake of you and the people around you's health,
Right. I mean, I think a
Spiritual and
lot of
other.
it just is contextual, intentional, what the company is. Have you guys ever read the Orthodox book Loris about a holy fool?
No, that
Nope.
sounds cool. Is that the guy's name?
That's the
Or
name
girl?
of the book. That's the name.
Why is it
It's a
called
Russian, because it's the name of the main character.
It's a work of fiction.
It is a work of fiction, not all. Anyways, there's like 3 prominent holy fools that are saints, and they can like walk on water. They have clairvoyance. They have like the clear gifts of the Holy Spirit. And there's one point where there's a misunderstanding between like the town, like the Russian townspeople of this small town, and a holy fool. And another holy fool comes up and is like, "You stupid shitheads are getting this all wrong." But he's a holy man of God, and he's basically trying to like slap them with his words to like get out of your false piety. So he's going to say something that they would see as degenerate or something. A holy, they keep saying like a holy man wouldn't do this, but like they're seeing, he runs off, he like literally from that conversation jumps into like a river and starts running across the water and giggling.
Wow. I'm going to order that book and I'm going to read it.
Yeah, it's good. I just finished it like 2 days ago. It's good. It's good.
Wow.
Okay. And how do you spell it?
Laurus, Loris. It's a red cover, big L. Anyway, yeah, it's about holy fools and people on the fringe and such. But okay, I got some other thoughts here. What do you guys? I've heard people say there's a difference between cussing and cursing. Do you agree with that?
Oh, I could see that being true. If you want to get real, semantic with it, cussing versus cursing people and items and things. I don't know.
Like cussing is like what you and your boys do when you're playing Halo, and like you say a naughty word, everybody laughs, and cursing is what you do when you're trying to hurt them. I mean, but you also don't have to use naughty S's and F's and D's to curse.
Yeah,
right? You can use other words, cutting words.
Exactly, cutting words. And is it wrong to curse an object? I mean, I wouldn't think so on principle. If
I do that all the time. I flip inanimate objects off all the time. Like I'll trip over something like you.
Yeah. But then again,
I don't know
if you
why
want to practice an air of like holiness and stuff like that, maybe it's not. I don't know. But then you think of the prophet calling down bears to get those guys, or what was I don't remember who it was. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but that's the logical error is ever comparing yourself to a prophet or a saint. Not saying that you just did that. I'm saying if you give people that ammunition,
you're saying that
or
I
if you
did
think
that?
about Christ cursing the fig tree and it withering, and it's like
Right,
obviously
again.
you can't just.
Wait,
it's not a 1-to-1.
Were you saying that I'm a saint, Justin?
I
would never say that, but you said that of me.
What's the play here? Am I supposed to say yes, you are, because I'm supposed to bless and not curse? So I just call you a saint, and that makes me the saint.
No, you pivot. You pivot. Say I'm a sweet little prince. That's the clear middle path. That's the royal path.
Right.
That's the third way.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ponder that one for a while. But I like, so yeah, the idea of can I, is it right or is it wrong or is it acceptable or is it always unacceptable to curse an object, for example? I have been known to do it. And so, like, I'll confess that I'm the worst of sinners when it comes to cursing objects. And I think it's nothing. I even curse the weather because I thought it was funny and it blows off steam. I'd say, I curse this rain. I curse its heart. But should I do that? Even joking? If I'm just being honest, and I'm gonna put on like a second serious hat on top of the serious hat, probably not, because when you do that, it mirrors back into you. You know how they say if you stare into the void long enough, it stares back. If you speak out curses flippantly enough, that the curses are coming in. What's coming out of your mouth? So it's not what goes into a man's mouth that makes him unclean, but what comes out. How does that work? Sorry, I lost my train of thought for just a moment here. Why don't somebody else pick up the ball?
Yeah, Colin. What about you?
It's not what goes into a man that defiles him, but I don't know if it's what comes out that does, but it's like what comes out of his heart, maybe. If somebody wants to find the exact quote, the exact citation.
No, that is it.
But I think that I've always taken that, and I haven't like read the fathers on this or anything, but I've always taken that to be what comes out of your mouth is evidence of what's in your heart, rather than what comes out of your mouth is making your heart more poisoned. But I guess it could be both, because you can behave poorly and make your spirit less healthy. And it is also your poor behavior is evidence of an unhealthy, it's kind of like both. But yeah, I don't know. It's all of these types of conversations. It's tough. I haven't arrived at the appropriate,
because it's easy to just go, oh yeah, it's bad, don't do it.
Exactly. Right? And it's also easy to do the other side and be like, I know that I can't live up to this standard that I'm able to see. And I know that I can say this is wrong for me. And yet I know 10 minutes from now, I'm going to just go right back to it because I'm a hypocrite, because that's me, because that's who I am. That's what I do. And so it's difficult, because just having the conversation of what is right and what is wrong and what ought a man to do in this or that situation is a totally different thing to what is practical, I feel like, but I don't know. That's not me justifying naughty bits and bad things, because there's things that are, if it were true that cursing were equally as consequential to my soul and to the people around me and to myself and my life as shooting up heroin or watching pornog or cheating or all of these other things that have like very immediate serious consequences, or murdering someone, if it were true that cursing were as damaging as those, then it would be a very clear, it would be a much clearer, yeah, we should not do these because of these reasons. But it seems to fit into a category that is much different in its consequences. You feel?
Yeah, and I feel like we could also say that, like, is it what's wrong? Why is it wrong if me and my friends are hanging out? Like, let's say we're drinking beer and shooting guns at a rock quarry, for instance, and somebody says, "Oh shit," instead of "Oh dang, darn," like, you hit the target. That's how me and my friends talk. I don't know how you and your friends talk, but like that's exactly what we say. Like, oh my gosh, Justin, your mic is 1,000% too loud. So like what a part of me really wants to say, like, what is the mechanism that makes, if we're going to say it's all bad all the time, which is like the easy fundamentalist thing to do, black and white thing to do, what would make the Because I remember growing up in the South, and even when you said like that sucks, you'd get yelled at, or if you said gosh, like that's just a substitute for saying God. Don't take God's name in vain. Or darn.
Perfect standard would be to never have any expletives, whether they're real or not.
Testing.
Whoa, so
turn
loud.
Your gain down.
Check. You want me to turn it up?
Turn your gain up, way up.
Oh, seriously?
No, turn your gain down.
All right, hold on. Let's do a little check. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Check.
You sound fine. You sound fine.
Perfect.
That's perfect.
We've lost all of our viewers because their ears are bleeding, but we got you.
Ooh, I'm so sorry, guys. I really did blast you. But you got to do a sound check. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What's going to happen, man? What's going to happen?
It's not our channel.
Not my channel. Yeah, my problem.
I'm
just kidding.
Yeah, it's true. Just don't play any copyrighted material. I got hit with a thing last week, so I can't afford another one.
Can we sing copyrighted material? Cause she's so high.
You guys help us. Hello.
High above me.
She's so lovely. That little baby boy is so high.
Did you guys lose me for a minute?
No,
we were just ignoring you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
You were talking about how there's the fundamentalist view, the fundamentalist view.
The fun-loving view of
the fun-loving view.
You can't say you can't even say darn because that's the same mechanism. That's just a substitute for this other thing.
Yeah.
So
but you were about to say the other thing. Like
I was going to say,
where's the line?
So is the exclamation of the whatever it is in the moment, is it that feeling, that thing that is causing you to say something that's wrong, or is it the word itself is wrong? Can they both be wrong? Can one be right, not the other?
Yeah, you can exclaim something to highlight with good words, and I bet if you really nailed it down, if you really sat down and thought about it and mapped out the typical daily instances where somebody might say, wow, or whatever. Usually the bad things get a bad word, and then the good things get a good word in our current culture because it's cool. And like that's like it's like inverted and like twist and all of that kind of stuff. So like when something is good, that's the shit, and when something is bad,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean. So like calculating all of that, I bet you could sit down and come up with a system by which you could eliminate all of the truly dirty words and not also substitute them, but just come up with a way of speaking that is never curseful. You know what I mean? But it doesn't seem like that's, I don't know. I don't think it seems right or real.
So we're going to go ahead and take a few callers, give them like 2-3 minutes each, say what they want to say, ask whatever questions. So Christopher, are you there, Christopher?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
We can. You said you wanted to give us your perspective as someone who was in the Army.
Yes, I was in the Army. It's funny. I just got this. I was not a lieutenant, but I just got this because it's hot in South Kakalaki, Greenville, South Carolina. It's so nice up here, upstate, baby. Who'd have thought you'd want to live in South Carolina? But anyway, I've got 7 children and 20-year-old twin girls, right? And so I've kind of got this big spectrum now. When I was in the Army, me and my friend got together and we were like, we sound like freaking retards. We need to stop swearing. We need to stop just like speaking frivolous, like, and that's, a lot of wisdom literature about, speaking very carefully and thinking and picking your words and everything like that. But that was one of the first things. But yeah, when I was a kid, like if I called my brother stupid or something like that,
right.
Then my dad, he hit his thumb when I was a little kid and he was like, shit, fuck them, whatever he said. And he looked at me and I was there working with him, and a little kid, and he goes, listen, if you're just saying a word, exclaiming out into, because you hurt yourself, that's not cursing people. If you're right. saying you're this,
right.
And then the Bible has like, if you say raka to somebody, whatever that means, it sounds pretty rough. Raka, then you could be deserving of hellfire. So I think our words are more powerful than we even could fathom, as, children of God, we're the light of the world, was what God said. And that's kind of how, but anyway, but now with my 20-year-old, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry I cursed, because I was trying not to curse when I had these little children, right? And I changed into a total different person, and I was trying to take care of my wife and everything like that. It was crazy. And my wife had Lyme disease as well, healed herself, and had another baby. So we have number 7 is this like superstar kid who's 4 years old. Yeah, glory to God for sure. Just in time for the apocalypse in Atlanta, Georgia. But I'm glad I wasn't in the hospital with that kid, because I would have lost my mind. People tried to tell me to put a mask on. I would have went to jail, I'm sure. Anyway, but yeah, like talking to her, I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry. She's like, oh, it's okay. And so now my 20-year-old daughter, one of them speaks just normally with me, like, praise God, like talks to me about everything. She's going to school up in Atlanta and everything. And so she's just hardcore, but she speaks to me and she'll say, curse words or whatever, but it's so commonplace. Like, we just let the children go with media and everything like that. We just let them go with the cell phones and shit. So they're all fucked, right? But a lot of them are woke too. A lot of them are traumatized to a certain point. And some of them are like going to video games or going to whatever. But a lot of them are woke. A lot of them are like, oh shit, they tried to fucking give us, RNA stuff, and they know about it more than us, and that's what I realized. Because I had these children. And anyway, that's my 2 cents on it. It's nice to see you guys. This is a fantastic conversation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'll be in the chat.
All right, see you around, man. What do you guys think about his perspective?
I like that he brought in the I can't believe we hadn't brought it up before, but the scriptural passage that if you call your brother a fool, like, that's pretty serious.
Right.
Or whatever Raka means. I'm on the same page as him, where I'm like, yeah, I guess I never looked into that. But the fact that it was it was worth stating. I mean, were those Christ's words saying? Was that his admonition directly?
Which one?
If you say to your brother, you fool. I'm looking it up now.
Well, while
Matthew
you're looking it up,
5.
Yeah, it's part of the Sermon on the Mount. So if it's part of the most famous sermon to ever be preached ever from the mouth of God in the flesh, to say, and whoever says you fool will be liable to the hell of fire.
Right.
Anyway, all that to say, I can't believe up until now in this discussion we hadn't said, all right, well, let's just see if Jesus said anything about this. And he did. And it points to, it doesn't solve the question of like, what about curse words, bad words?
Yeah,
what
well,
are they? What
Right.
aren't they?
It's still that you can curse people, you can bless people, you can, with your own free will and your agency, help someone towards their path, towards salvation, or prevent them in their path. You can be a stumbling block in their path.
I think there's also something to be said. I mean, like you said earlier, you can do all of these things without the particular words.
Right.
And you could talk about your buddy in such a way whenever you're talking with your wife or your other friends or whatever. You can talk about your buddy whom you love in a way that is cursing him and being like, man, I wish this dude would get his crap together. Like, man, what an idiot. He keeps making this decision and that decision. If only he would. And if you you can get a satisfying enough role going with that type of talk. And that is more powerful, I feel like, because you can see it. I feel like it does have a spiritual implication that you may or may not be able to see or ever understand, like almost like there's some back end data analysis going on of your karma, like Red Dead karma going up or down or whatever. But at the same time, you also notice yourself viewing that person in a different way. So you're hurting your view of them by preaching to yourself that this person is hopeless or whatever, and then it leaks through in a condescending attitude whenever you're talking with them in person, and then it leaks through in the way that you talk. So you can very easily see how these things are poisonous, and that's different from face to face saying, "Oh, you freaking retard," like being crass to your buddy face to face. It's like the meme. I think it rings true, and I think it means something more than just a funny joke. But guys tend to respect each other. Guys who respect each other tend to tear each other down in person,
right?
And build each other
it's
up.
Part of it's to see if you can take
back.
it. You know, if you can't take these little no words, then can you help me out when things get crazy? Are you just going to fall apart when things are serious and you can't even take a little no word?
Yeah.
Colin, one of my favorite bits from Colin is when he's like, you know, the thing about our friend John, and I would never say this in front of him. He's actually all right. You know, I really value his friendship.
But I got that from The Office. You know, I didn't. You know, I didn't come up with that.
Oh, whoa.
Colin, on one of your episodes, you said that you and your friends decided that you were just not going to laugh at any joke that you or friends made. So you guys would make a joke in the moment, everyone just stare awkwardly, right? They wouldn't reply. My friends kind of had a similar thing where we did the thing where we'd make fun of each other, but it got so intense and it felt like everyone was just actually mad at each other because we were just stabbing each other and people felt like they hated each other. We didn't, but it's like no one's talking to each other now. It's weird.
And there's power in that. Hey, you guys will probably be streaming here for a little while, but I have to hop off and I will hop back on here in maybe 20 or 30 minutes if you're still on.
Okay.
It was a pleasure to be on. Thanks for having me.
You too. Thank you, Mill Nurse. I hope that you go and help save somebody's life, or at least check their blood pressure. So you have a job to do. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, and you know what? Terrible timing. I'm gonna have to. You know, can we make sure that all the ladies on the stream earmuffs? I gotta pee, man.
Okay.
I gotta go. I gotta forgive my language.
Will you be back in like 30 minutes?
I'll be like 38 minutes.
Okay. It's a very specific number. I always feel weird when somebody like doesn't give a round number, or at least like a 5, like a 0 or a 5. It's not at the end of the number. Like I'll be back in 27 minutes. You're like,
I'll be back in 23 seconds probably because I'm quick.
Okay.
But real quick before I do, I just realized that every time I point to this door back here, I'm that meme. The guy pointing at the Beyond Chicken or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. BRB.
All right. You guys are. Yeah, I think you guys want to shout out your podcast.
We're the loser replacement.
All right, B team. Would you like to?
If you like the content, they should be sure to send in a ghetto super chat to $, keep Wesley weird on Cash App.
Thanks for keeping me straight on the straight and narrow. Let me see if we've got anything.
Oh, and of course, all the YouTube pleasantries: like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah.
Give us engagement.
Okay, if I call Logan gay, is it?
Does it make it so?
Is it cursing him or is it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, is he gay or not? I mean, that's if it's factual.
If it's factual, like.
Define gay real quick in this context for me.
All right, everybody. Okay, Nadim, sound effect A. Okay, give us sound effect A, and we'll have people vote. So, is Logan the sound effect A or sound effect B? Okay, this is going to determine what kind of gay he is.
Should I repeat them?
Yes, please. So A.
So A is, and B is. Okay.
We're doing more science, Justin. Sorry. We've taken two calls.
Serious hat. This seems silly.
Yeah, it does. We're asking. Okay. So Justin, you're going to represent the audience. Okay. So we're trying to figure out what kind of gay Logan is. So sound effect A. One more time. So that's the type of gay he could be, or sound effect B. So Justin, which kind? Just looking at him, face value, just looking at him. What kind of gay do you think he is?
Is Logan the one that's high vis here on the?
Yeah, he's Pig Snake Rattler.
Yeah.
What kind of gay is he?
The ginger Hitler.
Oh my gosh! I did I did get told I look like an SS officer by one of my soldiers one time. I was like, you can't say that to me.
Yeah, but it means you're sharp, man. Love him or hate him.
Would you guys like
ever been as sharp.
Would you like to weigh in on the topic? Our callers, our lovely callers here.
Mm.
You asking me?
Oh no, it's the Pig Snake Prattler and the Deem Haddad. Would you like to weigh in on your perspectives of the conversation?
As if he doesn't know.
Yeah.
I feel like this is rigged against me, and I'm not really gonna like either of the options.
Okay, let me ask it again. Yeah. Okay, go on. Sorry.
I'll just want to say the first noise is a lot more pleasant, and I want to, give that honor to say that first that's like a nice noise. I wouldn't mind that being like my text tone if I didn't,
Okay.
if anyone.
Do you have a recorder? I can do it for you if you want.
Yeah, hold on. All right, let me get up in the. All right.
I think there was some talking past each other. I was trying to say, hey. Logan, Nadim, is cursing cursed?
I mean, it depends how the word is used. It depends how the word is used first. It depends when it's used, and it depends how it's used.
All right, Jordan Peterson.
All right, so I'll put it this way. I feel like there's a difference between cursing and just cussing. Cussing is crass and it is kind of cursed, but cursing where it's actively bringing animosity towards things, using those words, that is definitely curse.
I mean, yeah, you can curse without cussing, but you can't cuss without cursing, if you know what I mean.
Okay, so it's a finger thumb.
No, you can cuss without cursing, but you can't. Oh no, wait.
I feel like they're not mutually exclusive.
No. Okay. You can curse without cussing.
You can curse someone without using.
Yeah, you can curse without
words,
cussing, and you can cuss without cursing. That's what.
Yeah. So,
but
if we're just saying naughty words in general, they're a little cursed, yeah. But actively using them for animosity, or even just saying terrible things about those or things around you, absolutely it's cursed and it weighs on you.
I could even argue that if you cuss more than you need to, it even if you're not cursing anyone or cursing, it's still you should still at least lower your cussing rate. It's better.
Yeah, I think that brings up an interesting point, which is that if you a little experiment, and I've tried it before, probably almost everyone in the chat's tried it. If they have any cussing in their history, if you say, I'm going to make a very focused effort to not do that for a day or for a week or for the foreseeable future, and you recognize how difficult it is, then that should be an alarm bell going off that you don't have control over your tongue. And and that turns a curse into a blessing. The curse of the difficulty,
right,
or the curse of cursing, turns into the blessing of realizing and turning the mirror back on yourself and saying, oh, really is true that my words aren't fully in my control. It's the dog that's walking me and not the other way around. You should be using and you know what, the scriptures make it very clear that it's no easy task. It is a skilled pursuit to control your tongue. Very few, if any, can successfully do that. I feel like you see that in all kinds of ways, but if you put your language under a microscope, then it'll show you the other ways that you're loose-lipped, whether it's with your anger or gossip or these other things. So I don't know. I encourage it, and I'm preaching to myself here too.
You encourage cussing? Sorry, I just want to be clear.
No,
you encourage.
No, I encourage taking the cuss challenge. See, okay, you can go a week without one single word, and this goes all tiers of those words. Not even.
I said this in the chat when I came back to Orthodoxy. I stopped cursing for at least a couple of weeks. I completely stopped cursing, but then after I'm like, okay, it's kind of hard, but it's not that bad if I use it in certain sentences or like what we're saying now. But I mean, I completely stopped for a moment. I thought like, yeah, it's better to stop completely than whatever. But then, I don't know.
Yeah, being like a short-term teetotaler on the cuss front, I think is definitely a good way to recalibrate.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely, it shows you a part of yourself that you aren't normally, comfortable with confronting, like, those sort of little things that you let slip on the daily basis, and then you got to kind of confront that and actively combat it. It's
Right.
It's definitely an experience and a struggle that is good for one's soul.
What do you think about, because we talked about like you're going to have different mode of operation in different way of speaking in different companies between your parents, if you have kids, so if an acquaintance of your best friend, have you met somebody who doesn't change at all in all those different scenarios? Like they will always just use the same amount of cuss words. Let's say they cuss in the span of a 5-minute conversation, they're going to say 5-6 F words probably, but they're going to do it in front of every single person, every context.
I think I met some people like this when I was younger. Like,
is this the part where I say I was that person for a little while?
Yeah. Okay. You have to say, my name's Logan. Hi, Logan.
Hi, Logan. Okay, do it again. We have to
Logan, I'm a chronic potty mouth.
Hi, Logan.
Hi, Logan.
Very good.
I mean, so like, what do you think about that? Because I feel like it's I think the low wit is the person that's saying, well, they're being genuine, they're being themselves all the time, but it's you need those boundaries, you need those different hats, different little serious hats you're going to put on for different times. That's part of being a man, is seeing what the different contexts are and how you're supposed to operate within those and how you fit into the world. So I think when people don't act differently in the context that they're in, there's something wrong.
I mean, before 2 years from now, or maybe 3, I didn't curse once in front of my parents, and I used to curse with my friends. But they would never curse when I was kids. But now, if I say like a curse, like before, if I said the curse word when I was a kid, it would be like the end of the world for them. But now, if I say it to them, they're like, not to them, but if I say a curse word in front of them, they wouldn't do anything. They would say it sometimes. So it changes. Even within those circles, it changes. So you can start.
Right. I mean, I've heard different reactions. I've heard, like, let's say you have older parents. You've met people who are older, and they like, just how we had Christopher talking here earlier. Like, I never heard my kid cuss, and then they started cussing. They're 20 years old now. They started cussing in front of me. I feel like the typical thing I've heard is either, where did I go wrong? Or, oh, hey, look, at least now they're being more authentic. They're opening up to me more. They're more comfortable. They're talking to me like I'm one of their friends. I mean, what is you brought up,
or maybe
parents, or Justin, what were you going to say?
Maybe they let, I think they let me do it. It's not like I'm doing it now. It's just like they started saying, but we never, like, I never use, or they never, it's reciprocity. We never use strong words. It's like shit. It might be like the worst thing I say in front of my parents, or they say in front of me. But like,
they cuss in front of you. Would they have cussed in front of you before?
Like sometimes, this is so shit. Like, but this I would have never heard like 3 years ago. Or
so is that like now? Does it feel like you're now at the big kid table? You're at the adult table.
No, that's not. No, you ruined it, man.
Well, I'm sorry. Well, thanks everybody for our lovely guests here. Justin, what do you think about the parents'
I'm really glad that he brought up parents, because it reminded me, and I think a lot of this one aspect of the whole discussion that we haven't talked much about is judgment. We did a little bit when Colin was saying that when you speak harshly of a person, you are teaching your heart to judge them, and you
Right.
are then cutting yourself off from grace. He didn't say it in so many words, but I think that's at the heart of this, is that when you reserve judgment, like as a spiritual discipline at all times, you resolve to not judge others, not to call them fools in your heart, because that's what the whole Sermon on the Mount was about. It's not that God's perspective of you as a person changes when you call your brother a fool. He's not surprised. It's that when you turn your heart in that way, you are tiptoeing around hellfire. That, from the Orthodox perspective, begins to make so much sense, because when you turn that, what's the scripture? Because I'm going all different directions right now, but my brain's firing on all cylinders. The scriptural passage that talks about God does not change, or has no shadow as of turning. That's a really insightful. There's an insightful contrast that can be made with the heart of man, because the man does have shadows, and they're always from turning. So when we turn ourselves, when we incline ourselves to the left or to the right, the shadows turn up in our hearts. But if we stay facing forward and we remain in the light, then we remain pure, and we can see things by that light. So all that to say, when we begin to pass judgment, a turn happens in us and keeps us from being able to see ourselves the way that we truly are, keeps us from being able to receive and then express God's grace and his perfect love toward others and toward ourselves and back toward God. So now going back one layer up to where I started from, I think that it's easier, if you're not careful, to judge other people and their habits in terms of the words that they use and whether they curse or not, if you come from a place where that hasn't been downloaded into you. And I have the privilege, but it's a blessing until it becomes a curse. The privilege is my parents almost, nearly immaculate in terms of clean language, and they didn't curse each other, whether they used cuss words or not. They didn't speak harshly of one another around us kids. They didn't use any of the signature, classic cuss words for the most part. We would be shocked. My mom said that the dog pissed on the carpet one time, and I was shocked. I didn't hold it against her, but I was like, whoa, you don't say words like that. And it was expected of me not to say words like that. So the blessing is that I was kept pure until I threw that all in the garbage when I went to college and started playing Mario Kart and just letting it fly because it was fun. I was just blah, 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 blah. And then, like I said, for like a decade, man, there was no governor on that. And I just had filth. It wasn't the arbitrary, the words are bad, and therefore God judges me based on the bad words. He's not beholden to that. But he could see directly into my heart that through those words, I was reveling in the badness of it. It's like in St. Augustine's Confessions when he said it wasn't the taste of the pear that he stole that it was all about. It was the feeling of having stolen it. So it was the feeling of cursing. That was nurturing in me a love of sin. And that is something to be careful of. So if you can truly judge yourself and say, that's why I curse, especially if you're a young man, if you're in your teens or 20s, and you find that the reason you're doing it is because you feel spicy, well, again, we can trust the Bible when it talks about sin is pleasant for a time, but later it's going to take its toll. You don't want to be the person who gets a bad reputation, or who it just has these cursing thoughts, cursing feelings, because I think that what it does is it engenders in you that anger, that rage, that rabid dog. And I see that, man. I feel like if I never learned to curse, or if I kept a tight hold on my tongue, I would be less prone to anger in all realms of life, whether I'm on in my car driving, or whether I'm relating to my wife, or whether I'm talking on Twitter, whatever it is, whatever the case may be. Maybe, and I think it's a solid hypothesis, I wouldn't have even had the anger problems and the rage and the judgment problems if I first hadn't learned to pantomime the anger by using angry words, or by using harsh or distasteful words. So anyway, I'm glad that he brought up parents, because I had that privilege, but I should also not judge those whose parents may have grown up around them saying every word under the sun.
Right.
And let's say that you've been cursing like a sailor since you're 6 years old. Who am I to say, well, it should be that easy. You shouldn't talk that way. Maybe you didn't even know it was bad. So I don't know. There's like 2 or 3 different veins of thought that I was kind of pursuing there, but they all seem like important aspects or angles to this whole discourse that we're having. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you could just take the fun and loving perspective again of just saying it's all cursed, don't do it. But I do feel like there are times where it's like Father Turbo says, like, we really need to be practicing asceticism. We need to be pursuing the spiritual life. We need to be taking these things seriously. But here in America, like you brought up an example of somebody whose dad is a sailor, and they grew up from the time they're 6. They sound like they're a sailor too, and it's just who they are. Maybe they can start to change the temperature a little bit in a different direction. But Father Turbo says, as an Americans, we are so barbaric and weak. It's like, just eat the ice cream. Stop making such a big deal about it and like focusing on like the external thing so much. Like, if it's such a focus, like you can't say shit. Like, just say it. Stop making it stop turning it into this bigger thing that it is, kind of.
Yeah, I like that, and I think that perspective. This is the trouble, and this will open up a whole other can of worms and change the trajectory of the conversation. But I agree with what he's saying, and that is a message for me. Now, it brings into question whether that message is for every one of the several thousand viewers of that video, which brings into the question of how much it goes back to online orthodoxy, unfortunately. But we don't have to go there. But the whole idea, I have tremendous respect for that individual. I still wonder sometimes whether a person hearing that, their pendulum may have already swung so far to one direction that that's not the message that they need at that moment. But
or they take it and they twist it for their own purposes. Like, oh no, I had the license to be totally loose-lipped, instead of like, let's say you decided you're going to take the no cuss challenge and not say any bad word, whether in intent or in content, for the next month. And that first week is absolute hell, and like your life's falling apart, and you like it just be easier to let off steam and like just scream at something, break something, and yell cuss words. It's like, in this, given the context, like, have a cheat day, I guess.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, well, yeah, now I can just, the Fat Justin's here, everybody.
Yeah,
he's here to stay.
Fat Justin was the cusser, incidentally. The fatter I've been, the more. Hey, and there's something to that too. Like, again, St. John of the Ladder, I think, was the one to say that what is it? Gluttony is the mother of fornication, or the father, or one or the other.
Yeah.
It's that one vice leads to another, or one sin or one passion is really at the core of the other. Maybe it was the fact that Fat Justin was a glutton, and therefore he also was loose-lipped and had no control over his tongue. Who's to say?
Right. If you like, Colin mentioned before, like if you can, like he mentioned, going to the gym and pumping iron and having discipline in one thing, that'll make it easier for you to have discipline in another thing. There's something about that. Like if you can control your tongue in not saying these words, then that will give you control in other things. Like lots of the fathers you mentioned, if you are having problems with lust, and anything to do with that, then if you can fast and control the appetite that you have towards food, then that help you control your appetite towards other things.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys mentioned this, but whenever whatever his name was, the kind, precious young gentleman that came on earlier, talking about the military, 7 kids, that guy. One of the things that he mentioned was image. We look like retards. We sound like retards. And so in a pride sense, sure, you can look at, my reputation. I don't want to look like this way, that way. That may be helpful enough to actually like do something. But if you're just doing it for that, that's a different story. But it reminded me of what's harder. Is it harder to live to be a man that has no control, or is it harder to be a man who has his dog well trained? If we want to take it over to that thing, I stand today thinking I think that there's no more impressive thing. Maybe not no more, but there's very few more impressive things to me than whenever there's a guy that has absolute control over his dog. Like he's trained him so
Right.
well. And so I remember the day that that clicked for me because it just exudes this masculine dominion type energy where I saw this guy out on the whenever I was in college, I went out to the fields where they do like, you know, soccer and pickup games and stuff like that. And this dude had the field all to himself, and it was him and his German shepherd and a bat and a ball, and he had this dog completely trained so he would knock the ball, you know, 100 yards away, 50 yards away, and the dog would sit next to him, and then just with like hand signs, he would like make hand signs and the dog would bolt, and then he would say something and the dog would stop halfway, and then he would go all the way and then wait for his owner to like give him the Naruto hand sign, so that the dog would come back, and then he would have him stop halfway or 3/4, halfway, a quarter way, and like he would stop and lay down and do all these things. It was absolute mastery of dog training. The same can be had, the same can be said about a man who has absolute mastery over his tongue. And maybe there are times that call for harsh language, the same way that I
Right.
think it's in one of the Pauline letters, one of the Pauline epistles. I think it's somewhere that Paul said.
That's that's the New Testament. That's the definitely
Yeah, in the New Testament. Yeah, I think it's one
Right,
of
right, right.
Paul's where he says. Anyway, he's talking about you know, something something something. My works are like bloody rags, yada yada yada. You know the thing. And so the idea, when you read it in the NIV, it's like, okay, bloody rags, what? But then you actually think of the context and it's like disgusting. It's like you don't want to be talking about those nasty bits, right?
Right.
It's just disgusting stuff. But that's harsh language. And the same can be said about, I think in Isaiah or wherever, where some prophet is talking about like Israel being a whore and panting
Or
for
Jesus
these other
calling
gods, right?
the Pharisees whitewashed tombs and
Yeah, and so harsh language, there's a biblical precedent for it, and yes, I understand Justin's point
We
earlier, where
need
who are you to
we need a
compare
biblical
yourself?
president. I'm glad
We
you
need a
brought that
biblical
up.
president, and we need
I'd
one
vote for
now,
Paul.
and that's why
I'd
Donald
vote for
Trump.
Paul.
Trump is so biblical. You know, he has a Bible. It has his name on it, and
No, but there's harsh language used in the Bible for very particular reasons, and you can analyze it to figure out kind of like whether or not it is something that maybe you can use as a tool of rhetoric, a rhetorical device to make a point or something. I'm sure that there's a way that can all be neat and nice and tidy and actually effectual and sexual and non-sexual and effectual and actually make something more impactful, right? In a holy way.
Right.
like
Like
what
if you
you're
could
saying.
perform a lyrical miracle right now, would you?
Yeah, exactly. While it's in his oratory glory, it's like a horror story, right? And so my point is, if you are a man that practices it's better, it behooves man's self to practice the hard way and take the hard path because we like to stay hard, right? There's a reason that things get hard, and that's the sign of a man, right? So taking the hard path, it's truly it. Like, you think I'm making jokes. I know you don't think that I am, but some viewers may think I'm making jokes and talking about hardness and hard things, but it's for real.
Yeah.
Like, it's all cosmically for real, that masculinity is hard, and
Yeah.
and so
Reality
that's
is
the route
hard.
we should take. So if there's a way, I think probably the best way to do it is to truly have mastery over yourself in as many different capacities as possible and try to remain humble all along the way, you feel?
Yeah.
Do you think there's things that men can do in no, Justin, you go ahead. No, sorry. I didn't mean
No,
Justin.
It was just going to be, I was just going to say, nah, it was totally not worth it, what I was going to say. But if you insist.
Yes, please.
I was just going to say that, you know, manhood is realizing that reality is hard, and it was going to be something about a hard R, and you know, I'm just really ashamed that I stepped on your toes to say a hard
Speaking
R
of
joke.
hard R, I was just in a house where the the fire alarm.
You have my interest. No.
Not
Was it
kidding.
chirping?
I'm not kidding at all, and I'm not gonna divulge anymore.
What about the demographic? Can you just don't? Never mind. Don't divulge anymore. It's fine. It's fine. Just look what I have. What would you guys do for one of these?
Oh, I'd play. Oh, wow. Is that a Dragon Ball? It looked like it had
That's
like a
right.
little like a little creature inside of it
I
swirling
can't really
around.
see the comments or anything, but in the comments, you think I need a beard trim or just keep it go long, or make it look a little bit tidier, but keep it go long, or trim it down? Because I'm
Okay.
a true
That's-
chinlet.
one
If you
last
look at
poll.
where my
One
chin
last poll
ends
for
to
all
where
of
my
you.
beard is,
That's a lot of options. Okay, so
I just feel like the sunlight right now is making it like just really everybody's just taking a look at it. So whatever you guys think, I will do. If you say it, I will jump and say how high. I'm not driving and streaming at the same time, but I am gonna get myself out of the sun.
all right, we have people saying go keep it hard, keep it long, grow it out, but tidy.
Should I make my
tidy
beard
it
harder?
slightly. All right, while that science is taking place, I wanted to ask: Are there things that men can do in the company of men that they can't do in mixed company of women?
1,000%.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
What say you,
Yes.
Cole? Yeah.
Answer is
Mhm.
yes. And
Is that
by
toxic?
nature-
Are we being toxic right there? Is that toxic masculinity?
Of course not. It's toxic femininity to assume that they deserve to be in every space that we conjure up for ourselves. Getting their grubby little skinny little fingers with freshly painted nails all into our business.
Yeah.
It's not about
I got
keeping
a
them out,
question.
but it is about just having sacred spaces. You know, there's something
It's
something
important.
about that.
Because
Do you think as grown men? Yeah, you have to fight back the world, right?
The world is the default, the slippery slope that we're all on by way of the world is toward those spaces being eroded and manhood being overtaken. So it's the curse of Eve to want to rule over her husband. So Eve being all womankind in the world, and mankind being represented by Adam in this situation. Womanhood is always trying to encroach on manhood. It's always trying to rule over it. So it is incumbent on us to push those boundaries back. And that includes, but is not limited to, those male spaces that are designated and exclusive.
Is it appropriate for grown men to have, you could say, a tree house that has a sign say "No girls allowed" in it, misspelled, like maybe there's an A or like some letter that's flipped on the the wrong way, mirrored the wrong way. Would that be appropriate for a grown men to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can
I just want to make sure. I needed somebody's permissions before I go and get that done.
I have to jump off of this stream, and I'm really sorry for that. I just got to go eat some dinner. But listen to this, because my wife's making me a lovely spaghetti dinner, and the sauce has slices of zucchini and mushrooms in it. So
that's lovely.
You'd do the same, right? But my question for you guys: I get one more of these, the game is going to change, but I haven't decided.
Which one?
And I have a feeling there's,
Which one are you missing?
Immaterial, but I will check for you. 4, 5, 1, 6, 2, and 3. So I guess
So
no
you're missing
7. I don't have
7.
number 7. I've gotten them in order, and you guys would have been. I had to fight for something. One of these was like underneath a big sleepy beast, and not like a benign, not like a Snorlax type, but like if you
or a
wake this thing
Sudowoodo.
up, it could be curtains.
Yeah.
Justin, would you like to shout out your channel one more time so people can go back and watch those episodes in which you, the hero of the podcast, got those Dragon Balls?
Yeah, it's Cursed World Problems, all one word. If you search on youtube.com, www.youtube.com, if you look up Cursed World Problems. That's me and Kyle's podcast show or video podcast. We discuss all elements of society and culture and current events and not so current events. And we kind of just basically take a look and say, is blank cursed, and in what sense and to what degree? And we try to get into the nuance of the charitable. We try to be charitable with the nuanced perspectives, right? Amen. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
So it's
Come
called
on.
First World Problems once again.
Can I get an amen? Can I get an amen? And it's only on
Can we
YouTube.
freestyle before I leave?
Huh?
We
wanna
just
do
do a
what?
quick freestyle.
Okay. Are you okay?
You want me to take the first verse? All right. Yeah. It's First World Problems.
I don't think it
Hey.
would ever work because the latency.
The lag. Yeah.
Unless
Right, but also-
unless you're purposely
but
doing
also-
it off.
Dude, I begged you to give me an opportunity to freestyle, and then I committed myself to just doing stupid noises. So I don't know. I have this
Did you ever watch?
Is it a fear? Go ahead.
Factor
I was
with
just
Joe
gonna
Rogan.
say, if Joe Rogan on Joe Rogan, no, Mr. Westford and everybody else in the chat, everybody who's watching this at some other point in the future, check out. You remember Andy Milonakis?
No.
You've never heard of Andy Milonakis? He's a great guy. Great guy. He's a friend of the show, actually.
He did like
And,
the Between Two Ferns interview show, right?
Yeah, that's the guy. That's
No, that's Zach
I gotta go
Galifianakis.
see you guys.
Andy Milonakis. Yeah, see you, bro. Andy Milonakis is he's got some sort of a congenital disease that makes him appear as a child for his whole life. And so, but not like a super little child, like that little like what's that little black boy's name from like the 70s or something, or 80s? Not Ronnie Coleman.
I
because
think
he's a
about
big
the
buff
kid
dude.
from Love Actually who's like 30 and he looks like he's 9.
Love Actually. I don't know. We're either way. He's got one of those things, but his like growth stopped at like 13, 14. So he's still got like a high pitched voice. He's kind of like a chubby boy. He doesn't grow facial hair, but he looks very funny. Anyway, in the I want to say mid aughts, he had a show on MTV or something like that, I believe, and absolute genius. I don't know if it would stand the test of time for me, but I don't know if somebody who like didn't grow up with it and went back to it would be like, oh, this is weird, because you know how certain things were very, very funny in 2005 and we've
Right.
just progressed too far.
When you were the age that you should have been to receive it.
But not even at the age. I'm saying it's not an age thing. Even if I were 28 in 2005 and watching Dimitri Martin, I would think it's hilarious because it's 2005. But comedy has done things since then, so it's no longer as potent. And so that it may be the case for Andy Milonakis' show, but it may not. I think it may still stand either way. Either way, he has done some YouTube content, so I would encourage everybody to go look up the worst beatbox ever by Andy Milonakis and go check that out. It's very funny. It gives me a laugh every time I watch it. And
I try to look
it's not the
that
funniest
up.
thing I've ever seen, and it's not.
So it says retarded beatbox part 1, 2, and 3. So okay,
Yeah,
I just
part
want to
1.
make
I'm not sure about
sure.
part 2 and 3, but you can check them out. And I think it's good. I wouldn't say that it absolutely encapsulates all of the funny, like all of my comedy preferences, but this is definitely something that gets a laugh out of me. So take that for what it's worth. He would say he would take a small but significant slice of the pie of who I would say are some of my inspirations. Not that you asked, but one day people will ask,
hey, who's your comedic inspirations?
And I've been preparing for that question ever since I thought about it. And at this point in time, I would say a little bit of Andy Milonakis, A lot of Kyle Mooney. If you've ever watched him, another YouTube, everybody should. That definitely stands the test of time. 1000%. I will go to the grave thinking that
No, I
Kyle
don't think I've heard of him.
videos are funny.
Oh no, I've seen his
Check,
face. I
yes,
don't know
check some
what
of them
I've
out.
seen.
There's a lot of content. So you always have, just like everything, like every comedian, they may have a certain percentage of their stuff that is a stinker. But he's very high potency, high octane content. Especially
Like
their
this
skits.
podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Especially their skits. I think he does some solo stuff. I think he does some man on the street type stuff, which is okay. But the skits with him and Beck and I can't remember the other guy's name. Very, very good stuff. And then what else? We'll just say movies. Napoleon Dynamite.
It's a good one.
So if I could just put
Did
those.
you say Napoleon
those
Dynamite
three.
is better than Nacho Libre?
They're just so different. They tickle different things inside of me. I don't know which one. If I absolutely had to say which one I like better, I would have to say Napoleon Dynamite, but almost in the same way that you have to like say you love the older dog more. Like if you have two dogs, one of them has more honor because he's been around longer, and you're like, you're a good pup. After they hit like 5 or 6 years, you're like, no, you can do anything, and I'm not gonna be mad because you've earned a spot in everyone's heart, and you're the most venerated thing in this house, right? That's kind of like how I feel about those two. If they're two dogs, I would say Napoleon Dynamite gets more honor because it was the predecessor.
I kind of think that Napoleon Dynamite is a more consistent, good product. Maybe Nacho Libre hits like maybe one or two like higher highs. Like maybe it has like a couple more potent laughs, but it also has much more moments where I'm like, I'm supposed to laugh, but I don't.
Yeah, there are. I can't think of any. I can't think of any in Nacho Libre that I don't think are funny. In the same way that if you've watched Hot Rod, there are some absolute stinkers in there, and there are some absolute I'm dying laughing jokes in there. And so that one even more so is like high highs and low lows.
You have the scene where he starts dancing in the forest and then falls down for 5 minutes, and then you have Cool Beans.
Yeah, Cool Beans, and then also I would say the lowest low of that movie is whenever he takes his friend to the hospital because he's tripping, and he goes up to the trash can and points at it and says, "Hospital."
Trash can? Yeah, hospital.
Trash can.
Trash can.
I'm like, oh, come on. This movie was so great before that.
But it's still it's juxtaposed like really good stuff, because like 30 seconds before that he's like, yeah, I dropped the acid, and by the time I got on my banana board, I was tripping balls. And he does like a full 360 looking around on his board. It's that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. But yeah, I think you're exactly right. I don't think you'd be able to name a joke from Nacho Libre that I don't like, because all of it's funny.
There's some like comedic, like slapstick, like when he falls off of his little bike and stuff. It's never made me laugh, but it's like, I get how this will make people laugh. He fell off, haha, but it didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like the biggest thing, but there's stuff like that.
What's your highlight?
Oh, Secret Tunnels.
Secret Tunnel. Okay, so that would be my low. It was funny the first time. There's a lot of those in Napoleon Dynamite as well, where there's the low-hanging fruit things that everybody likes, like, gosh, like just stupid stuff that you'll hear.
Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. Like every normie and their normie mother will quote certain things from Napoleon Dynamite, but it's the finer things, the finer things club, that really, really are worth the analyzation. Sitting down and watching it, like there was
the anal fixation.
Exactly. There was a 2-week period in high school where I watched Napoleon Dynamite every single evening after school, once or twice, like just back to back. I think I might have been depressed or something, but I did it, and it paid off, because I was able to, every successive watch through, I saw more and more little things. And obviously you watch like the director's commentary and stuff as well, and that's always fun. That changes the way you see it forever. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it has more consistent it's a low energy, smirky, like chill vibes movie. Nacho Libre is high energy and like
has midgets wrestling.
uh-huh. And it's just a totally different feeling. I'm not putting those on an evening where I'm gonna pop in a DVD. You got to be feeling a certain way to put on either one of those. So
okay,
yeah.
okay. In Nacho Libre, tell me where this is on the tree. Is it high fruit, low fruit? He invites the nun into his room and they eat toast.
I think it's mid. I think it's mid of the movie, but it's still funny. Still gets a actual laugh out of me because they're just sitting there chewing. Oh man, that's good. And then, okay, I would say a definite low. Which again, we're talking relative here. It's still okay. It's not terrible. It's
Makes
not
me
as
laugh
bad
each
as
time.
Hospital Trash Can, but
That's
is whenever she says poopies instead of puppies.
Oh, okay.
It's like
or like
easy.
in Hot Rod. Okay, Denise, who would win in a a prison gang fight, a taco or a hot dog, whatever he says? She's like, well, if it's prison rules, then the taco. That's pretty racist, but you're right.
Yeah, yeah.
It's one of those like it just like joke just kind of come like just watch it go.
Yeah.
Like who was that one for?
I don't know, but the right after the toast or right after the poopies scene or line is him pulling his thing out and showing the picture of his mother and his father, but they tried to convert each other, but instead they just got married. And then she's looking at it like a little bit too long. He snatches it from her hand and sticks it back in his shirt or his cassock or whatever you would call that.
His habit.
I guess, yeah, his habit. Yeah, whatever. But
okay. He goes into the like old people's house to like do prayers for the dead of the old man, and he wakes up and he's like,
yeah, that one's good.
That's good. Yeah,
that's really good. And
okay, what about? Yeah. That's the part that does it. What about? Do you not realize I've had diarrhea since last Easter's?
Since Easter's. Now go. So me and sister may speak of holy things. There's so many of those things. I just said holy things earlier. Like there's so many of these things that get attached forever.
Right.
They're never going away. They're never going away. So many bits and pieces that I will never and I'm happy to never explain them. I'm happy to inside joke and play inside baseball and talk inside shop with like forever, and it's okay with me if people don't get it, but I will always, just for my own fun, constantly reference all of the movies that I've watched 100 times and Kyle videos and all of that. It's just how it is.
Do you ever do it? Do you ever like quote something and you have to stop and remember what it is you just quoted for the millionth time? Like it's a part of you, but you've lost the source, or the source has become hazy.
Maybe. I bet that there are things. There are artifacts. There are artifacts from a previous like code or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I probably do and don't think about it, but most of the references that I make intentionally, I know where they're from. What about you?
It's one of those questions I don't know if I can answer myself, but made me think of my wife and I have had like many inside jokes and like references over the years of like stuff we've seen or saw or said or just in the moment stuff. And there's one that she woke up from a nap and she started saying something and we were both dying laughing, and we remember like one word of it, like 2 words of it, and like the next day you're like, what did you say yesterday that made us laugh so hard? And like since then we know it's just a hole in both of our memories that we were like,
doesn't
just remember
this
one puzzle piece. Yeah,
it reminds me, on our honeymoon, we don't have to get into the whole story, maybe some other time. On our honeymoon, suffice it to say that we had lots of family around on our honeymoon for some reason, for some dumb reason. And so we were all hanging out, eating dinner and all this kind of stuff. And Courtney leaned over to me, my wife Courtney, leaned over to me and whispered in my ear. It wasn't anything sexy, don't worry. She leaned over and whispered into my ear, Colin, I have the most like earth-shattering, crazy, paradigm-shifting idea, you have to remind me to tell you. It's going to change our lives. We're never going to have any problems again. You have to remind me to tell you after dinner, or like whenever we go back to our room. And I forgot. And then the next day I woke up and I was like, oh shoot, I forgot to ask, what was that thing? And she's like, I forgot. It was gone. And I've been asking her ever since. It's been 8 years and she still hasn't remembered the thing. And it was like that one really hurts because it could have been like something. You just never know. You just never know what it could have been.
Yeah, those do hurt. The things that just in the moment, they just that happens all the time. My wife be like, what did you want to tell me again? I'm like, it wasn't as big as the earth-shattering paradigm, but it was definitely something.
I told her the other day something. I told her I was basically giving her like a task, like just a not a pop quiz, but I said I either gave her something and said, put this somewhere, keep it secret, keep it safe. I'm going to ask you. I think I gave her a piece of information, or I told her a fun fact about me, something. That's all I can come up with at this point. But I gave her something, verbal or physical, and I said, when the time is right, I will ask you to produce this, and you must within 30 seconds, you have to like be ready to do it, right? Or to say it, or to give me the information, or to whatever. Kind of like testing, or like if we ever needed to, like, I don't know, have like a code word for like there's people in the house or something, or like Ocean's 11, the pilot lights out and yada yada yada, right? Anyway, like 3 weeks later, she says, don't worry, I still remember the thing, and I'm always ready to bring it out. And I'm like, what thing? And she's like, you don't remember? And I'm like, I really don't. And she's like, I'm not gonna tell you. And I'm like, okay, well, hopefully I remember it one day because you're doing a good job. So yeah.
You still haven't remembered?
I still haven't remembered, genuinely.
She does?
I think she does. Yeah, no, she's.
Well, how do you know that she does? She could just be saying
I guess
it.
I would never be able to prove it, but you can just kind of know, like whenever you know when they're lying or being.
Yeah, you look in their eyes, you hear the voice.
Yeah. You know when they're lying right to your face.
Yeah, you do. This is why men need their own space.
This is exactly why men need their own space, to be able to giggle, tickle each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, but I'm pretty passionate about that, and it really truly. I love women. I love women so much that I love them, and I know them better than they know themselves.
Right, you're very sexual.
I'm an extremely sexual person, and I know women very well, and so out of love for them, I understand that they need to be told no, and they need to be excluded from certain things for their own good, and so it's not. It's
can you give me an example of no? Like how do you say it? Like just for all the husbands out there.
Okay, so how about you prompt me with one of those crap tests, since we're talking about cursing.
Okay.
Prompt me with a typical female crap test.
What do you like? Okay, it was gonna be like a woman drops her books and is like, oh no, can you help me pick them up? I don't think what you're looking for. That's what came to mind though.
No.
Okay.
No, I was thinking of I don't know, I guess like a typical crap test would be she would be a tempest, a tumultuous storm, trying to sink your ship, right? And you're supposed to be steady as she goes. You're supposed to be riding the waves and not rocking too far back and forth, right? That's what we are as men, is the ship, and they're the storm and the stormy seas. And so I feel like a crap test would be something like, I don't know, accusing you of something, or saying
some kind of test. Is it a does this dress make me look fat kind of thing?
Something like that, but
trick?
also making trouble, like starting trouble, or like making up something to have an issue with, or saying, I want this and we're gonna get it, or like whatever. It could be I think it manifests in a bunch of different ways, but the idea is they're testing your strength, they're testing your ability to say no to them and to stand up to them, because it tells them if you can't, and maybe I feel like there's some grace built into it, and it's, you know, it's not like if you fail once you're screwed or whatever. But over time, if you continue to fail the test and give in and succumb all over the place and cave into their desires or storms or whatever, then maybe they lose respect for you subconsciously or something like that. I think that's the theory, and I think it stands true. I think it holds true. I think there's probably stronger women that don't do it as much, and probably very feminine women that do it a lot more. There's probably spectrums every which direction, X, Y, and Z. And so it's not a hard and fast rule, but definitely happens. And so the stronger you can be with your no when it counts, I think the better off you and your relationship and the respect between the two of you is. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Gosh, what I've read a couple books recently where that's very much the case, where like the woman is testing the boundaries, and as soon as the husband lays down the law, it's like, oh, now they respect you. I think it was The Godfather. I think The Godfather's wife was like that. I'm trying to remember there's some book recently I read that was very much that way. Do you think these tests are conscious or subconscious?
I think most of the time it's subconscious. I think that if you have a particularly toxic female, they may do it on purpose, but I think most of the time it's subconscious. And like I said, they're probably, I might be wrong, but I believe this may peg me as a naive, like easily trusting, not very shrewd guy. But if there are spectrums and there are, you know, crazy end and not crazy end and all of that, I think generally I picked a good one that is on the good end of most of the spectrums, all the spectrums really, because I don't get a lot of that, but I have, and I feel like, you know, we're growing together and all of that kind of stuff, and it's a good, it's truly like a good, like God was good to me whenever he presented you know, presented the wife on the silver platter, and it all just worked out. So I'm extremely fortunate in that, but you still have to kind of like play the game,
right? Just because you got married doesn't mean like it's you're at the finish line. That's kind of the starting point, right?
Yeah, and it just continues the same way that there's not necessarily a once saved always saved mindset. Translate that into marriage, where you can't just rest on your laurels, because as soon as you do that, you're losing points, you're losing respect, and you're losing whatever. And so you talk, I haven't necessarily, I'm pretty young, but you hear stories on like Twitter, and you hear like, just if you're on the internet and you're reading stuff regularly, you come across stories of men who lose the respect of their wife, or in the, you know, maybe they're in their 40s or something, and it's a sexless marriage, or he's been doing this, and like there's no, like it's just not working out, and they're drifting further and further apart. And most of the time, maybe it's from people who have stuff to sell or whatever, and they're telling their story and how you can fix it or whatever. But a lot of times the moral of the story is some way, shape, or form of like, he's focused on the wrong things, or he's too needy and all of that kind of stuff, and rather he needs to start focusing on his mission more than being all lovey-dovey and all that kind of stuff, and trying to like beg for sex or beg for crumbs from the table and stuff like that. And rather, I don't know, it ends up being a lot of mindset shifting and stuff like that. So it's interesting to see how things change as you grow older and older and older and become an old man, and
then die. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens. Yeah, I definitely think that. I think that part of the wife's role is to make sure you're not a lazy piece of crap. They're gonna, if they see you relaxing, you know, having one too many beers throughout the week or whatever, they're gonna. I don't know if it's the crap test or what you're talking about, but they're definitely gonna let it be known that, hey, you should be a man. And you're not, if you're not being a man, you're not doing all the things that you should. They're going to let you know, and that's part of their job.
And it goes the same. I think the perfect, this is actually true for me right now, is I've got like at least a couple like projects that I'm just procrastinating on. And they're not just, I mean, grand scheme of things, they're not that big of a deal. That's why I haven't done them. But they're not super inconsequential, like out there in the yard somewhere. It's like I need to replace a breaker in the house, and there's lights that don't work, and they've been not working for 2 weeks. So I need to do that, and I have all the tools. I've like slowly gathered up all the whatever. I just need to do it. I just need to get off my butt and do it. And then this like glass window, this like stained glass window, fell out of a place where we had it up in a high window, and I just haven't really gotten around to like messing with it. So definitely stuff, but you're 100% right. It's like if it were just me if I were a solo, a bachelor in an apartment, some dudes are real military neat and keep things clean and minimalist, but most dudes would be like, yeah, I don't care if my room stinks, because like I can tolerate it. My car is an absolute mess right now, but I'm the only one who has to drive my car, so I don't worry about it.
Right.
And yet that bothers my wife, because it's just like it's not a good look. You know what I mean? So
well, it's okay because it's just you, until it's not. Like, oh, suddenly you have to take
exactly
your mother-in-law or something in your car unexpectedly, and then she's like just looking at all the McDonald's trash on the floor. And
yeah, and essentially they're good for being a mirror. Anything that looks like a teenager, anything that you're being a teenager, rightfully they can reflect that back to you and show you that you're being irresponsible, and that's not very becoming, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I love women. This is why I love
very
women.
sexual, very sexual. The meaning of crap test kind of changes when a male nurse says it.
I'm not a male nurse.
What about college? What? Sorry. You were very
college,
sexual in college.
I had a very stark reminder of this responsibility thing, because women aren't looking for a teenager or like an irresponsible goof off that doesn't do anything, and there's plenty of that. And so I was like shirking my classes and stuff, and she was with me all along, and like she followed me to one class that wasn't even hers, because we had like plans afterward or whatever. And I was like, I was in like one of my low points, and I was like falling asleep in class and like just like not paying attention, and like I showed up late and I didn't want to be there. And like I remember I got up as soon as the very last, we used to have these clickers to like answer questions to show that we were there. As soon as the last one was answered, I like got up and left, and the teacher like called me out and was like, I'm not ending this until that boy sits back down, because he's just trying to leave or whatever. And it was awful. And then like the next day I didn't want to go, and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna go. And like I had like a very stern talking to, because she's like just more mature. And I like realized, oh shoot, yeah, no, I guess that doesn't look very good. Like if you're like trying to marry me and I can't even make it to freaking college class, that's not good. That's really bad, actually. So women are really good for that, and like reminding you that you can be stupid and that you don't have it all together all the time. So
what do you think what's up with the phenomena where women just want the bad guy?
They're just cringe. I think there's a certain confidence that they're attracted to, and capability, and competence. Competence is the thing that they're attracted to. And I don't know about all the danger. I think that there's safe, and a lot of times safe is, I don't know. I think one time I heard somebody explain it like this. I don't know how much this relates, but I think it's true, and it makes a lot of sense to me, is that men are supposed to be the more experienced of the two, right? And have seen more of the world and have experienced more of the good and the bad, and are supposed to be the window. Like if you picture you as the head of household, you're supposed to be the house that your family lives in, and your roof is supposed to be strong enough so that things don't leak in, and your walls are supposed to keep the wind and the rain out, and your windows are supposed to be windows so that your family can look at the rest of the world through the window of you, right? Like you're setting the frame. You're teaching your kids how to view this thing that is in the world, or you're teaching your wife, you're setting the standard by which your wife pieces together the things that she perceives out in the world. And I think that I don't know how that has to do with bad boys and good boys, but I think, that's what it was. The experience. I think that you, like, ideally people talk about, there was a thread I was reading about people talking about, like, yeah, no, it's not very desirable for a girl to be like, oh yeah, I've traveled all over the world and I've been to Dubai and I've been to this place and that place, and oh, you have to try the food here and whatever, because it's like you're expressing, you're putting on show that me as a man, I don't have, like, the list is so short of things that I can show you now, like things that I can introduce you to, and that's not very desirable. I don't know. I feel like maybe that has something to play into it. It's not a perfect answer, but
that's a very interesting metaphor of, like, the man is the whole house. I felt like you could just get into, like, weird mixing metaphors, like, okay, now you're the window frame, but now you're also the, you're the kitchen sink, but you're also the floor mat, like.
Yeah. But it worked. It worked enough for at least whatever the dude was trying to explain.
Yeah, I think you gotta hand it to him. The kid, the kid's clever. You gotta hand it to him.
Yeah, it was actually my 4-year-old explaining this to me the other night, and I was just trying to synthesize it a little bit.
Well, this is a boy or girl?
4-year-old boy.
So he was trying to teach you. He was trying to show you the ways of being a man.
Yeah, he was teaching me how to be a good dad. That's what kids are good for. Kids are good for showing you. They're very good at making decisions and being right about things. And so I usually ask my son, what do you think we should do tonight? How do you think I should handle this situation? I come to him with my work problems whenever I'm, like, really having a hard time with my boss and they're not paying me what they told me they would pay me. And it's 6 months later and they're not giving me my freaking paycheck. And I go to my son and I say, what should I say?
Is it rough at the hospital? Is it very understaffed? Nursing
no, home? You're not going to get it out of me what I am. You can try as much as you want. But
speech pathologist?
Yeah, right. Those nerds.
You have the one kid? Just the one?
Yeah, just one kid. Just one kid. Lord willing, we'll have many, many more, but, maybe he may yet smile on us.
What do you think because we had some friends who never really talked to them about religion or deeper things. It's always just kind of been surface. So every time I bring it up, they seem to get weird, so we just don't bring it up really. We had like 4 or 5 friends over for dinner this last Saturday, and one of the husband, the father, they have one child. And they're not having any more. And he's like, so if this next kid you've got a girl, if you have a boy, are you done? And I really, like, it took me a second to process what he was asking. I was like, oh, you're asking if I open up this booster pack and I get the right Pokemon card, if I'm going to stop buying booster packs.
Yeah.
And it's weird. What is that mindset you think of how, like, you get one of each and then you're good?
I don't know. How old was he?
32, something like that.
Oh, okay. It made me think of kind of like a boomer mentality of, like, people talk a lot about how, and I don't know, I'm not really the one to talk about it. I'm actually retarded, so don't take my word for any political stuff, but the people that I listen to talk a lot about how boomers had all this great stuff. They had all the, the great interest rates and the booming economy, and you could buy a house for cheap and all of this wealth building opportunity at their fingertips. Took it for granted. They took advantage of it. And then now they're like, it's squandered, and now all of those things. And then they'll scoff at the millennials who are coming up. And they'll be like, well, you guys just don't want to pull yourself up from the bootstraps, buy your bootstraps, and all this kind of stuff. And so it's funny to hear that, and I it's the exact same thing where I can't tell you how many personal experiences I could count on more than this hand. How many personal experiences of all of my friends and family and people that I know who can't have as many kids as they want, right? Right. And that's a natural that's just a law right now. That's just how it is. That's the rule. Like you're an exception if you can just have all the kids that you want, right? And so getting talked to, and usually it's not, obviously it's not it's most of the time not really malicious or anything like that. It's a lot of time they're just, oh bless your heart, you're precious, right?
Mhm.
And it's cool, but they ask, well, how many are you gonna have? Oh, you're done yet?
Yeah,
Why
yeah,
don't you have
yeah.
more kids? Okay, cool. Yeah, no, you probably could have had 20, and you stopped at 4. You stopped at 3 because you only wanted 3. And there's lots of other people who they just can't have, because I guess crop dusting, whatever it's called, crop circles. What is it called? Astral projection in the skies. The planes shooting out astral.
Aurora Borealis.
Aurora Borealis, yes. Because
Right.
of the Aurora Borealis, we're all screwed in the
Hmm.
reproductive systems, and things just aren't working, right? So, whatever.
The
Whatever.
cloud
And I'm not
seeding.
angry about it. I trust the Lord to fill my quiver.
Do you think it has to do with like kind of like that woman is like, I've been to Dubai and I've done this and I've had escargot in the on top of the Eiffel Tower? Is it like that? Like, I just need the experience, like to have my life full of experiences. Like it's just about me experiencing things. I need the experience of having a daughter. I need the experience of having a son. I don't need another son. I did that. I have that experience.
Yeah, you might be right.
Because I honestly don't know that, because I know people are like, I had $3 until I got a son. Now I've got my son.
Looking at her husband going, yeah, we've done an apartment, we've done a townhouse, we've lived in the city, we've lived in the country. You want to do kids? You want to do kids?
Yeah.
Let's do kids.
Let's do dogs first. Dogs first.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that probably is some of it. I have 1, I have 2. We know what each one is like. We're just gonna stop there. Yeah, whatever. I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad or be.
Why not?
Well, just because everybody don't know no better that they do, you know? Everybody don't know no better that they do, and they try their best most of the time. And even when they're not trying their best,
ignorant.
it's like they're just ignorant. They're just ignorant, and even if they're not trying their best, I know that I'm not trying my best, and everybody's just got their own lot to deal with. So whatever. But if you're asking, people should have as many kids as humanly possible, and should undergo the growth opportunity that presents them. They should face it head on. And I think we should just have more kids. I think more people should have more kids younger.
You think you're a better man after having a kid?
Yeah, of course. Lots of things that you can't really avoid. Well, people do avoid it, and I know. I mean, I've seen the Homer Simpson types that they don't chip in, and they don't really help, and they don't, they truly are satisfied not really helping out at all, and they think that sitting at their desk job is like enough or whatever. But if you're a normal person, or you have any ounce of like grit,
you have a fire in your belly.
If you have a fire in your belly, then you take every opportunity of waking up throughout the night and all that kind of stuff, and you realize, oh, now that I've done this, I can do it now. And before all of this, it was scary. It was very scary to stay up all night, and I don't want to be woken up, right? And you would like treat all of these minor inconveniences as like a big deal. And that's what separates the boys from the men, is treating inconveniences like they're a big deal or like they're a small deal, right? And I'm not trying to get all Jocko Willink on everybody, but it really
Do you wake up at 2 a.m. every morning? Do you wake up at 2 a.m.?
I don't, but I've been through that where I would say that first week with a newborn, you really don't. Some people get to sleep. Some people are really lucky and their kid like comes out sleeping through the night somehow. That's weird, but it happens. But when you're not that, you're really, really, really excited about that half hour that you get at 2:30 p.m. because your parents came by to like just have eyes on the baby. And so when you go through that, it really just does change you. and it's special, and that's not even the hardest thing that people go through. That's just like one of the things going
Right.
from being like an adolescent to a grown-ass man, that like you understand it now and you have a category for it, to where when you get woken up, you're no longer angry, but you're up and you take care of business, and then you deal with it. If you lost 4 hours of sleep, you wake up and you say, oh yeah, last night was one of those 4 hour nights, and today's going to be one of those days where you're just a little bit on edge and maybe you're a little bit grumpy. But as soon as you start to be grumpy, you have to check yourself and say, wait a second, how long can people not sleep? And what do the monks do? They purposely hold vigil all night long, and I'm sitting
Right.
here being grumpy with my 4-year-old for asking me a question the fourth time because I woke up a little bit earlier than usual. Come on. Or eating. That's where Jocko comes in. He talks about how like you miss lunch and you're grumpy, and you know that your body's capable of going like a month without anything, and you're grumpy because you missed lunch. Come on, grow up.
Mhm.
Think
I
about
think
your
C.S.
ancestors.
I think C.S. Lewis said it, paraphrasing, like when you come to something that feels impossible, when you accept the challenge, you realize that your capacity is just going to grow to meet the challenge, and
Yeah,
it wasn't impossible. You're being a little bitch. I think
yeah,
those were his words. Pretty sure.
yeah. And praying for strength rather than comfort. Praying for like a greater
Right.
capacity to undertake the things rather than praying for them to be go
It's
away.
like I think another C.S. Lewis, like instead of asking for courage, ask for the opportunity to be courageous. My spiritual father said, if you want to acquire humility and you ask God for humility, then you better be prepared to be humiliated.
Same with patience. You're gonna get a bird pooping on your head or something like that as soon as you pray for patience.
So let's do it one more time. So it's the same with patience.
It's the same with 1, 2, 3. Patience. It's the same
Patience.
with patience.
Same.
Pain. If you had to come up with a definition for the word pain, what would it be?
Um,
Just
it
phonetically,
would
what does it sound like?
it would oh, pain.
Yeah,
Hmm. Pain. My
it's
mind
a
went
fun
to some.
game.
It's like if aerosol was like, like you have like your spray can and it like sprays out, that's your aerosol. And it's like really tiny little spray bits. PAIM is the next, it still sprays, but it's bigger particles. Like you can really,
That's the pain. Like you've got a little bit of pain on
yeah.
the outside. You got of the art project, maybe.
Yeah. And like if you've got schmutz on your glasses, you can, get some of that pain your glasses a little bit, and then you can see
Okay.
again.
See, I took it's on surprisingly similar, but not quite. I don't know how it's similar, but I think you'll intuitively get how it's similar, but it's not. When I think of pain, I think of like a dessert, like almost like Cool Whip, a
Hmm.
white, very sweet mousse, but not chocolate mousse, but like almost like just a plain sugar mousse, not vanilla, not chocolate, but sugar, like sweet,
Like a
like a
cream.
aim. Yeah, something you would put on top of a yogurt and berry dessert or something. Some pain. I don't know. That's what I thought.
You just get a scoop of pain to top it with.
Exactly. Dollop of pain.
It also sounds like some kind of like cheap company that does like some kind of processed food. Like, I don't know, like some kind of like a Kellogg kind of thing, or
Yeah.
from the
Pain.
PAIM Foundation, the PAIM Corporation.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's a fun game to play. It's because it really makes gets your creative juices flowing. Come up with
Okay, here's another one.
gibberish word and then come up
Okay,
with a definition for that.
okay. What does this word mean? Clarded.
Flard.
Clarded.
It's definitely like mud. It's like dirt that's clotted together, like a clod of dirt, a clod of mud, but it's a clart. It's wetter. It's wetter and dirtier, and it has lumps, particular lumps, like a clart on the end of your boot that you would kick off.
So yeah, you just got like before you enter the house, just make sure to kick off the clart.
Yep.
Patience.
Patience. I haven't been set. How many viewers we got?
We got 12 right now. We didn't end up getting rated, which is unfortunate. It's a big L for me. Those days when I get rated, it helps, you know. Keeps the fear of existential dread that much farther away, you know.
Yeah. Do you how does it feel to instantly, does it knock you off your rocker? Does it knock you off your horse whenever you instantly see that number jump up a couple hundo?
I'm gonna be honest, it feels like you go from, like, especially when it's just, I do these live streams where it's just me chatting with people and I don't even know what we're gonna do. People are just like, let's talk about this. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And then suddenly it's at like 150 people watching. It feels like a switch flips in me, and it's like, you know how, like, if you've ever listened to comedians, like, he'll talk about, like, oh yeah, this dude, he's always on. Like, that dude, he's just, whenever you see him, he's on. He's always performing. I'm definitely not that. I'm like, I'm not always on.
I feel like I would choke.
But what that like, oh, there's eyes on me performance now, that edge, I definitely feel that like more flow state feeling I'm on when that's happened, when it's like, oh, suddenly we got it's like, I don't know, it's just more fun, there's more interaction, there's people who are in the chat, you know, going back and forth with me, it's fun. And there's other people, like, there's one time where we were doing a bit and there was a guy in the chat for like 30 minutes, like, I've been watching this whole time and I still don't know if this is a joke or if you guys are serious. I'm like, then I've won. I've won.
That's good. I love bits. I love comedy. I love laughing. I laugh. I love me.
What
love
can
me.
you help me figure out what's the difference between a shtick and a bit?
A shtick is something that is you do all the time. It's your signature. It's your signature bit. A shtick is your signature bit. A bit is you could do a bit in 1 second. You can come up with a bit right now. You just do a little bit every once in a while, right? A bit is just anything that is like it's like that's a bit, right? Me stuttering on purpose, me like a bit, but it could also be like, it's kind of, no, I think I got it right the first time. A shtick is the thing that you're known for. It's the thing that you do. But it's going to be a bit. Like, your shtick is going to be like your signature bit.
Are bits and shticks, are they verbs or nouns?
Nouns.
But you said it's something you do.
Yeah, so like Alex Stein, Primetime 99, his shtick was to go to like city council meetings and to do that. But that is a bit. Like, he was doing a bit at each one of those. Not the same bit, because he would have a different character. Also, a bit could be a running thing, but it doesn't have to be. Like, you could do a one-off bit, but you could also do recurring bits. Like, whenever Justin says Pinocchio, that's a bit that he does. Saying wrong words is a bit.
I told you about my black Pinocchio joke. So, is that a bit?
Yeah, that's a bit.
Okay, well, what about
that's
me?
That's a joke. That's just a joke.
Okay, what's the difference between a joke and a bit? Is a bit
a bit is something you do and take on. It's like you're being the bit. A joke is something you're telling as a narrator, like as an orator, as a joker, a jokester.
So as a comedian, should you avoid jokes and just do bits, kind of like the filmmaker maxim, like show don't tell?
Just style. It's just style. I'm sure some stand-up comedians do. Well, no, that's called bits as well. Like, it sounds like something I would put in my bit.
Like Demetri Martin, he just tells jokes. They're like all one-off little
jokes,
non sequitur jokes from one another. They don't.
But you could also, bit functions two ways, or more than one way, because it could be more than two. More than one way, because bit could be like, bit is the name for my, not your set, but I could do that in I have a bit about yada yada yada, right? A bit could be like a story that you tell or something, but a lot of times I feel like a joke is a story that you tell, but a bit is like something that you do. So you might go up and like act awkward, like that's a bit, right? Does that make sense? But I might be wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure bit and jokes can be interchangeable, like could be, but I think that you could probably get real anal about it. More specificity. One of my bits is that I say facetious
instead of facetious.
Yeah, and that is me being facetious by saying facetious. Is that a good
Do
bit?
you? It could be. I'd have to see it in motion.
But I never explain it. That's the first time in world history that you've ever
okay.
heard me explain the bit, because most of the time I would say I was just being facetious. And
How do
then I
you
would
feel
keep
about the
going.
bit where you explain the jokes and like you really belabor the point in which you are telling them about the joke that you made it and why it's funny and how they should laugh? Do you really
I think that it's very low
that's
reward.
a good bit?
I
right.
think that it's it counts. It counts.
High risk, low reward.
Not even high risk, because it's almost inevitable that it's gonna be a low reward. Like that joke, the joke of explaining your jokes too hard, I guarantee is a very low percentage hit, and it's not gonna make people laugh. If anything, it'll make them smirk a little bit, and then you get sick of it. That's how I feel about it.
Somehow
but
it's a smirk. It's a smirk with contempt.
It's like you get this. I get it.
Okay. And then would you say being meta is in the same vein, or is that slightly better?
That's a little bit too vague. Being meta.
Self-referential. Like now we're talking about how. Okay, let's try to do it here. Earlier when have you ever been meta before? You ever like you break the fourth wall, and now we're talking about like, hey, like Call, you and I don't really know each other, but we come on these little things and we talk about how it's a cursed world, but like, do you really know who I am?
That's getting meta.
I don't really know. I've lost it. I tried to, but you see I thought I had it, and you questioned me.
When I think
authority,
about meta,
you question my authority. You question my authority, and I don't know. I'm kind of seeing red, and I'm trying to get back to where I was spiritually before that.
When I think meta, I think it's more of just an adjective. Like meta can mean it's purely contextual. Meta means whatever you're talking about it meaning. So like whenever you say is getting meta a bit, or whatever you asked, how do you feel about getting meta?
Is that when you devolve into breaking the fourth wall and talking about the bit, you're inside the bit, and now you're in the bit has now become talking about the bit.
I see what you're saying now.
Is that
okay, so
it's another way of describing and explaining the joke by trying to keep it internal to the joke while you're going outside of the joke at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have to see it in practice. Could you use it in a sentence? I don't know if you can, and I'm not going to put you on the spot.
Have you ever seen the show Lemmy? Have you ever seen the Lemmy show?
No. Next.
Okay, you want okay, well,
see, that was a bit where I was pretending you were asking me a list of questions that I'm just answering straight real quick.
Rapid fire. Do you know who Robin Williams is?
Yes.
Okay.
Next.
Do you know the Lemmy Show?
No. Next.
Okay. Well, in the Lemmy Show, there's this really funny video where there's a guy who is on an acid trip, and he sees an old friend from college, and they're talking, and then he starts seeing crazy things, and then suddenly like the camera stops, and one of the guys in the bit comes on the camera, and he starts explaining the joke to everybody. And then he's like, I wrote all this shite. It's awful. Are you laughing at all of it? Like any of this? And then it cuts. Like, what do you think about that? Do you like that?
Yeah, I think it could be funny. That's the thing, is everything counts. I'm pretty liberal when it comes to like what counts as comedy. It's just a matter of, because it is ultimately subjective, but you can measure it based on, I think a lot of times what we measure comedy and its potency and goodness or badness based on is the two things. How many people of all people like it, and what types of people like it versus what other types of people don't like it, right? And so if you picture somebody like Sam Hyde, his ratio of how many people of all people who encounter him think he's funny is probably not that great. I would just, that's me guessing, but I would say, you know, of the 100% of people that see him and get a chance to see his content and his style, maybe only 40% really like it. And but then of the people who like it, or not of the people who like it, but the people who like it compared to the people who don't like it might be of a higher strata, of a higher class, right? Because they're smarter or something like that, right?
They're whiter,
So
whatever it is.
all of these different facets or aspects to what makes somebody funny and what makes a comedy. So I think, so me and Justin have talked about this before, as far as Jay, I think he calls himself a comedian, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I would say that he is, because he does comedy, because he does things with the intention to make people laugh. Okay.
This
comedy.
might make some people mad, but majority of the things that he does that are intentionally comedic, I don't find funny. But when he's having the debates and he's in the moment riffing or making a joke, then those make me laugh. But when it's like the 5-minute video of him pretending to be an alien, he doesn't do anything for me. Doesn't make me right horny at all.
Agreed. And Justin would probably say exactly the same. I've seen maybe one or two things that are his intentional things that I'm like, yeah, that's funny. And then most of the time, you nailed it. You nailed me right on the head. And
I had
whenever
your nail.
he's in passing, just saying something or calling somebody a goof or saying you're a goblin, a boomer tard, that's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever he called Matt Slick a goblin and a boomer tard.
That doesn't mean I want him to keep doing the things that he's intentionally being comedic at. I'm sure eventually he'll
that's
get
the
a
thing
chuckle, but I wouldn't want him to stop. But it's not for me.
A stand-up comedian and somebody who is a comedian because they deal in funniness. What they do, their business is trying to make people laugh. And so you can be a comedian, an unsuccessful comedian, and still call yourself a comedian if all you do is stream. Maybe your name is Mr. Westford and all you do is stream and you try to make people laugh and nobody ever laughs, right? I would still say you're a comedian, because what you're trying to do is be a funny guy in some medium, right? It doesn't have to be stand-up. It doesn't have to be skits. It doesn't have to be whatever. It could be parody music. It could be storytelling. If you're trying to make people laugh, you're a comedian. That's my take. Now, I can't remember why I started that, but
you said you're very liberal and sexual.
Well, no, yeah, I'm very liberal. I'm extremely sexual. I'm a true liberal. I'm what one might call a classical liberal. No, I'm just kidding. I don't remember why I said that. I was saying I'm very liberal about who I call comedians, and then I went off on this massive tangent explaining that everybody really wanted to hear, and they respect me and appreciate everything that I just said, even though it took 20 minutes.
Can you unpack that?
Yes. So I have this insecurity about explaining things too much and not having a very good, like I'm actively all the time, I'm practicing being less long-winded. And I have this obsessive compulsion to go off on tangents and explain ancillary things that don't necessarily pertain to the point. And so I try to stop that. And whenever I catch myself going on for freaking ever, then I like to announce that I'm aware that I just did that, because it kind of like softens the blow a little bit, because then people don't realize that I'm not self-aware. It's okay to be stupid. It's okay to like live out your fatal flaws, as long as you're self-aware of them and you make it known that you're self-aware.
So why I gotta ask you, why can't the left meme and why isn't the right funny?
Well, it depends on which part of the right, because I think the real right is funny. I think the fake right is not funny.
Yeah, like the left can't meme. They really fail anytime they do a meme format. And anytime it seems like the people on the right, when they try to make something like a television show or an animation, like adult animation or a movie, and it's like this is from a product of the right. This is conservative comedic content. It's usually just like the worst shit you've seen.
Yeah, well, it's because here's the problem. They're trying to make conservative content rather than content that happens to be made by conservatives.
Right.
and anything that's branded political is going to be only even remotely palatable to people who are already in that space. And people who are already in that space are like, if they like it, they were already signed up to your stuff. They were already Daily Wire members.
They're clapping instead of laughing.
Yeah, exactly. That's 100% right. Yeah, dude, tweet that. You got to tweet that.
Okay, yeah,
they're clapping.
sure.
They're clapping instead of laughing. That's enough said. They'll get it.
Just that.
They'll get it.
Okay,
I'll do it right now.
I'll do it right now.
But John Doyle made this point where like, oh, why is Christian conservative, blah blah blah. It's because of that. It's because you're trying to frame it from the outset rather than just having more people of like mind in those spaces or making content, secular, normal, neutral content in general, high quality, and just having like deeply conservative themes without it being right on the nose, like this is about being conservative, this is the point. So
would you say that makes it propaganda when it's about pushing that message instead of actually a genuine, authentic expression of anything? It's just I'm trying to change the culture. I'm trying to win the culture war.
I'm pretty liberal whenever it comes to the definition of propaganda, because I think anything can function as propaganda. And I actually intend to, once Cursed World Problems takes off. By the way, anybody who's new, I'm from Cursed World Problems. My name is Cursed World Call. I host a show with Cursed World Joss. We actually don't call ourselves that. It's just funny. Let me explain the joke a little bit. We actually don't. I promise we don't actually call ourselves that.
Okay.
But yeah, go check it out on YouTube only. Eventually we'll have it on Spotify and the other things, but right now it's just YouTube only. So Cursed World Problems. Anyway, eventually once we take off, once we really get our boots off the ground, once we really get our wings catching wind, our sails catching water, I plan to start the Cursed World Propaganda department, and purposely pump out propaganda. But I think it's more in the form of like memes. Like Orthodox Meme Squad is propaganda. That's awesome. It's awesome. You're making people want to be more based, right? All of these Patrick Bateman memes.
I talked to somebody yesterday who's a catechumen who said he discovered Orthodoxy and started going to an Orthodox church because of the Orthodox Meme Squad.
Yep. And there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing low class or anything about that. It is what it is. This is where the people are. This is where the eyes of the youth are. So you better be there. You better be there making content, and you better like it. And so, yeah, I think it does end up being propaganda, and the people who like it are clapping, not laughing, and the people who don't like it, they're not paying attention to that. Nobody's like, real people aren't sitting around waiting for these things to come out. Real people just don't want to have gay people kissing on their TV screens, right? And like, at this point, a conservative movie is just.
What made you think of that? What made you think of that? Why did you have that why did that come out?
Because I'm sad and angry and hurt. That Pride only gets 1 month, and it's done, and it's over.
Right, white people get the whole year, and gays get only a month.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a little weird. I feel like I don't know. I feel like we don't give them enough. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, and so I think that the bar is pretty low to make content that is conservative is just simply to make content that is not ultra liberal. And obviously you want to go a step further because you want to be pushing people in the Overton window as far as you can. And part of that, you have the fringe people pushing one side of the window, but you have to have the center people following, or else it doesn't work. So you want your center, you want the movies that come out that are just not awful, right? But the other beauty of it is that with the power of the internet and memes and young people that are funny and smart, you have the power to subvert any stupid, woke, liberal, whatever gobbledygook and turn it into something good and like meme it into something conservative and then just usurp the throne. Just take it for yourselves. Commandeer it.
Storm the gates.
All the time.
Storm the gates. It's a cursed world, y'all.
It happens all the time.
Yeah. You just have to be patient. It's 2
hours and 49 minutes.
Yeah. Like what are you doing the rest of your day, huh? You got a couple more hours in you?
If we could do it while I'm driving.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's dangerous. I could get pulled over or something, and then I would be in big trouble. Big trouble.
I mean,
there's no laws on the books. Sorry,
here in my state, if you have the phone in your hand, then that's illegal.
Yeah, I have a little
even on a phone call. Even on a phone call.
How do you feel about that?
Something about the lighting makes it look like you have shaved your upper lip.
You know, one time I went, just to finish this off, because we will go ahead and hop off. One time I went to a barber, and I had a beard maybe half this big, but I liked it, and I needed a haircut, so I scheduled scheduled an appointment at this barber, and he was like, all right, what do you want? I told him, whatever, and he did whatever with the top. And then he's like, the entire way he was asking me things like, oh, how much do you want here? Because it's the first time seeing him. He doesn't know like what I like or whatever. And he was asking me questions before he did anything. He was asking me. I'm like, okay, cool. And then he's like, so do you want to do anything with the beard? And I'm like, maybe just like a little trim. And then he's like, okay, cool. And then he didn't ask anything after that. And he shaved my mustache off with the clippers. And I already kind of have like a light, like a blonde, like my blonde comes through on my mustache, so it's not super dark. And then he like did just a little bit of here. He went, and then he said, all right, now for the beard here, do you want me to take, like he asked me a question after that, but didn't ask me anything about the mustache. So I looked Amish the rest of the day and had kind of a funky, like weird haircut. And I showed up to Bible study, and it was awful. It was awful.
I would have just been like, off. I would have been like, just take everything off.
I just went home and like was like, well, maybe it's not that bad. And then I went home and looked at it. It was awful. So I just shaved everything. But
you can do a mustache without a beard. Doing a beard without a mustache, that's a different game.
Yeah, it really is. And I've always wanted to do like my mustache never been that big or like full or like, big. Or else I would do like Gavin McInnes type, like big mustache, like thick and big. Or else my favorite look on other people is like stubble but big mustache. Look, not just mustache.
I was able to get like one tooth showing there just by itself. Let's see if I can do it again. No, I had it perfectly. It looked like I had just one snaggle tooth.
Yeah. Well, it's been a cursed world.
It's been a cursed world.
Thanks for having us on again.
Yeah.
We're pretty much down anytime, and we'll have you back on again to stream. By the way, anybody who's looking for it, we are probably not going to have an episode out tomorrow, maybe Wednesday. So
when is your merch coming out?
Merch, I don't know. I think we're going to try to like chill on any sort of like money stuff until we really get rolling. But we do have a couple ideas in the works for merch. But it might not be until we get, I don't know, I'd say like 500. Maybe we'll wait till we have like 500 followers.
Today, I'll let you all into a little bit of a insider basketball here. Like on Saturday, Call here texted me saying, "Hey, are you good to come on the stream today?" I was like, "What time?" He's like, "LOL in 30 minutes." I was like, "Not today." So that's why today, out of nowhere, I was like, "Hey, you want to come on to mine?" I wanted to say 30 minutes, but I didn't want to stress y'all out, so I couldn't really. I couldn't commit, go a big wah sound for me. Yeah. What is that one? I know it's like the meme thing, but like what's its origins? Like where was it birthed?
Price is Right. The Price is Right, and it's whenever they guess the wrong price and the price is wrong, and it goes You know, that's a good
Sheesh.
show. Good music, good show. Of all the game shows, Price is Right and Jeopardy, I think, are my favorites.
Yeah, there's. Have you ever tried to watch like someone like some of those game shows that only last like one season because they were so terrible? Like there was one that my wife and I were on this is like 3 years ago. We were on a kick where we just try a really old game show you never heard of before, and we tried one where you got a shopping cart and you had to go in this fake grocery store.
Oh
and you had
yeah,
to grab
Guys Grocery
specific.
Games.
Yeah, it was like
Oh
in
wait,
like the
are you
70s.
talking about Guys Grocery Games where they shop and then they cook, or are you talking about
No. This was like on
the shopping?
aired. This aired on television in like the era of all the game shows, and it was just like lady named Nancy. She's got a big updo, and you have to go in this fake grocery store and grab your fake cereal and put it. Yeah, and you have to grab specific items. You have to do it in a certain
and
time.
Like, it's basically testing how good of a shopper you are.
Right. Yeah. How good of a little consumer you are.
Yeah, no, I can't remember the name of it, but I know what you're talking about. But there's also Guy's Grocery Games with Guy Fieri, and they go shopping for the things, and then they make a meal out of it. So that's a lot more entertaining.
Did you ever watch Junkyard Wars?
No.
That was a good one. They'd have like engineers versus like architects, and there's 4 guys versus 4 guys, and they're in a junkyard, and they have to like build a pontoon boat and be able to sail it across a canal, but they can only use stuff that they spend an hour finding in a junkyard. So it's like out of broken down cars and mattresses and stuff.
Wow, that sounds actually really, really cool.
Yeah, I watched that. I think of that and BattleBots. Those are the 2 shows I would watch endlessly as a child.
I watched Ninja Warrior. The parkour,
that was a good one, yeah.
Ninja Warrior, and then I also watched Deadliest Warrior. You ever watch Deadliest Warrior?
Is it Ninja Warrior, but they have like knives, or there's knives
No.
ninja stars being thrown at them?
No. Ninja Warrior was like the parkour show where they do the obstacle course.
Oh, do you know the one? It's like XKC XXCD. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
It was on like G4 or something, but it was picture Ninja Warrior.
Yeah. No, I know what it is. It's called it's not the American version is called Wipeout.
No. This is much more schizoid than that. So a picture Wipeout, or picture much more like Wipeout, but they have 100 Japanese people, and they make them do these batshit crazy obstacle courses. And
it has the 2 guys with the Dragon Ball Z
the Kimuras,
shoulders.
Yep, and they're dubbed, and there's like it's just 2 American guys with mics making up stuff.
Yeah, dude, that was one of the funniest freaking shows ever. I loved it. But that's what I was saying. It is like the American version of that is like Wipeout, but it's for real. Like it's not supposed to be funny or whatever. But I wish I could remember the name of that. But it's got those 2 dudes. I liked it
MXC. That's it. Yeah, I knew it was letters.
I liked it because up until that point, what I loved was Dragon Ball Z, and that's like all I watched, and that's all I cared about. So I didn't watch a lot of anime or all the animes, but I grew up watching Dragon Ball Z, and so naturally I liked Japan and Japanese things. I was a little weeaboo.
You know how much I liked Dragon Ball Z?
Huh?
You know how much I liked Dragon Ball Z as a child?
How much did you like Dragon Ball Z as a child?
I liked it as much as I liked Kirby, and I would take clay and make little clay Kirby versions of all the characters and then bake them in the oven. I had like on my windowsill like an army of all these different clay Kirby version, like Kirby ate Cell, and then now he was like a Cell version of Kirby, and I had hundreds of these little things.
Well, bro, do you want to know how much I like Dragon Ball Z?
I do want to know how much you like Dragon Ball Z.
In my room, I had a dresser and some of the, I guess you would call it a chest of drawers. Some of the things had drawers, and then there were 2 little cabinet doors on either side. And in the cabinet doors, on one of them, I had clothes stacked up. And in the drawers, I had clothes. And in the other one, you open up the cabinet door, and I would have like a little diorama set up of all of my Dragon Ball figures in like poses and stuff, and you would open it up and it would be like 20 figures all set up and in like certain like positions and stuff like that. Nothing sexual, even though I'm extremely sexual. Nothing sexual was happening. Just different like fighting poses
Right.
and stuff. I would like set them up
Right.
each night and then wake up and like start again.
But no, it wasn't sexual, right?
Nothing sexual.
Right. It was just like
No,
boyhood
yeah,
innocence. You
extreme
know,
sexual.
you're just exploring. You're exploring the characters. You're exploring the story. You're exploring your body. There was nothing sexual. It was innocence. Right.
Even though I don't know if I said this yet, but I am extremely sexual, just if anyone was wondering if it was or was not.
You've turned into a robot.
Here we go.
Well, everybody.
I'm trying to come up with the safest way to do this. I'm extremely sexual. I'm extremely safe.
Practice safe sexuality.
And
Oh
there's-
my gosh.
I'm glad those
Where did
balloons
those-
did not make me wreck.
Yeah, me too. Wait, how did they? Do you have a sunroof?
Yeah, they all went straight out. It's really freaking weird. I actually just I'm not a male nurse, but I dress up as a male nurse to go to kids' birthday parties. And those are just the balloons that I had from the last party. So, no worries there. They're all gone. And it was a certain type of demographic of a kid's birthday party where I went in to use the bathroom and the fire alarms were chirping. So.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So what do you gain by pretending to be by what's the word?
Well,
like how when you pretend to be an
I'm a
officer, what's that
substitute.
called? You're impersonating. What what do you gain from impersonating a
Yeah.
male nurse?
So whenever the kids party clown can't come in, they call me, and I show up, and I have a couple different costumes, but these people specifically, of the options that I had, they said the best option was male nurse. So I threw on my garb and I showed up and did a little show with
Nothing
balloons.
sexual.
Nothing sexual at all, of course. Even though I made it clear to them that I'm extremely sexual, but none of the show will be sexual. Just so that you know, kids of all ages were there. It had nothing to do with sexuality, but I am extremely sexual, and they knew it.
You exude it. You exude it. Yeah, the
They
pheromones.
can tell. I mean, kids have a sense for these things. They can smell it whenever you're sexual. But yeah, nothing sexual happened. And the show, it went off without a hitch. Everyone laughed and cried.
Everyone loved me so much. I was the
Everyone
greatest.
loved me.
Is
I was getting hugs afterwards from the moms and the kids. The dads weren't there because they had work, and I was at work too.
Oh, you no, I mean
There.
you don't have to cover. You told us the demographic. You don't have to lie. Dang.
Yeah. So yeah. Either way, it was an easy $25. So another
Okay.
day, another dollar,
Another satisfied single mom.
another satisfied kids party, another satisfied group of kids.
Who do you think gets more respect or maybe lack thereof? A birthday party clown or a male nurse?
Probably birthday party clown gets mighty lag. They lay some disrespect on that.
Well, I'm gonna let you go, man. I don't want you to get in no crash, and I've been at this for 3 hours. I'm not trying
I'm
to.
not driving.
stay-
This is a filter.
Oh, so you're actually back in the studio? That's just a background, like a digital background.
Yeah, I'm back in the stew.
It's really crazy how the light source is changing so much. It's really advanced AI.
It's timed with my LEDs.
That's pretty good. How long did it take to come up with this bit and then?
Seconds.
Hey,
Mere seconds.
Colin, I do have a very important question. It's been a little too serious this whole time, and I just really want to make sure that we are able to glorify God in all things we do. I just really got to know: are you retarded?